All right, hello everybody. How are we all doing tonight? Awesome to see you guys there. I don't know why that's all the way up down there, but we're gonna move it up there. There we go. How are you guys doing tonight? Awesome to see you guys here. Yes, we are going to be checking out Perturabo from the Amber King. Yes, guys, I'm really excited to check this out. Perturabo, he seemed like a really good you know, he honestly seemed like a pretty good friend from what I saw. Like, we saw him obviously counsel Magnus, attempt to at a minimum. Seemed like a decent guy. Only an hour. Yeah, this one's only an hour. Does he have a longer video, the Amber King, on Perturabo? Because if he does, I'll watch it. But if not, I mean, yeah, this is what we got today. Maybe we do another one after. I'm not too sure. But yeah, for right now, we're going to be doing Perturabo for now. That's what it was voted on, obviously. I know it's only an hour. I don't know why this one's only an hour. He made this one about 3 years ago, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I know he does have Vox in the Void as well in here, so that's kind of interesting to see. But, you know, there it is. Perturabo, best Primarch, maybe. Pollux and Dagenhart. How long is that one? That one's like 4 hours long, isn't it? I'll be here all night if we do that one. And I do kind of want to keep it I do kind of almost want to keep it to one a week for the reaction streams, just so, you know, we don't run out of you know, we don't run out of them too fast, you know, because there's only so many of them, you know, guys. So, you know, I don't want to run out too fast. But Pollux and Dagenhart, you guys are telling me to check out Perturabo and then Pollux and Dagenhart after. Are they Iron Warriors? Is that the gig? Is that what they are? I'm assuming that they must be associated with the Legion in a sense, right? Perturabo is very relatable since he constantly gets his own fucking way. Holy shit. Y'all were outvoted on this, guys. It's true. It's true, you guys were outvoted. It's unfortunate, but you were outvoted. That's how it is, guys. But yes, of course, if you guys are gonna stick around, if you plan on watching along the way, make sure you guys hit that like button, you know. And if you're watching this VOD later on, of course, hit that like button, you know. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, you know. Do all that nice stuff. Come on down, join our Discord if you're not there. It's awesome to see you guys there. It's awesome to interact with you guys. But yeah, you know. So without any further delay, you know, it's just 2 hours. Maybe we check it out after then. Honestly, maybe we'll see. We'll see. But you know, I do kind of want to keep it to one kind of a week, just so you know, we can always do the polls and stuff, and it's fun to do those. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta have you guys, you know, coming back for more. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, that's how this works. You know, I'm running a business here. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, you know, if I do it all at once, then you know, that's it. You know, I can't be having that. So, you know, I gotta fucking. gotta juice you guys up a little bit that way. No, I'm joking, of course, but no, I gotta, you know, I want to prolong it a little bit, and they are fun to stream, and I don't want to just get through them all too quickly, just so we have, you know, nothing to watch in a sense, nothing to react to on stream. You know, if we could react to movies and shit on here, that would be fucking awesome. React to content that way. Obviously, we can't, but these actually are a good way where I don't necessarily have to edit down the video at all, and I can react live to it with you guys. It's awesome to see, and I love doing it that way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to run out of them too fast that way. But yes, guys, without any further delay, I think we're going to get right into this video. We're going to, yeah, check out Perturabo here. I'm excited to look into it. Iron Warriors, you guys tell me it's fucking a lot of your guys' favorite faction. And, you know, from what I've seen, I vibe with them pretty hard too. I'm excited to check out more about them. So yeah, guys, let me just make sure captions are on there. Captions on, quality, best it can be, sick. Let's get right into this video, guys. It's cringe to betray your Primarch. Goddamn.
Betrayer.
Oh, hold on, guys. My bad. I have to change my audio settings because I have my earbuds in. There we go. Back we go. There we go. Oh no! Wait, can you guys not? You guys not hear that? Hold up. No audio. Yeah, one second. Let me see that. Hold on, guys. Bear with me here. We are having some technical difficulties there. Hold on.
No, I am
there
the Breaker, the Hammer of Olympia. I am the Lord.
We're gonna restart that.
Forgotten.
Does that sound okay for you guys?
Lapdog
if it sounds bad, let me know.
No, I am the Breaker, the Hammer of Olympia. I am the Lord of Iron. Iron within, iron without.
That's a fucking hard line, guys. I'm gonna, like, be completely honest. Iron within, iron without. The reasoning they gave for that. Awesome shit. As always, I got paper here. I am gonna write stuff down. How do you even justify chaos? Good question. Honestly, great question.
The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Rebellion, destruction and betrayal is what comes to mind with the Lord of Iron, the Breaker, and the Hammer of Olympia. Primarch of the 4th Legiones Astartes.
Justify chaos by being Angron. That's awesome.
But we are more than just the facades we put out to the world. Who is the Lord of Iron? And why did he betray the Emperor? Why did Perturabo choose damnation? To understand who he is now, we have to start at the beginning. Like all good stories, it begins in fire. Stolen from the Emperor's side by the foul entities of the Warp, the Primarch hurtled through the Immaterium. His gestation capsule hurtled through the galaxy like a blazing comet, and fell upon the mountainous world known as Olympia. Bursting through his capsule, the young Primarch slogged through the amniotic fluid and oil, and for the first time using his own legs to stand. You would expect confusion and fear to fall upon anyone in this situation, but cold, calculating calm at the core of this child. He had awoken to a snow-topped mountain, thin air, and a crass capsule with the letter 4 inscribed upon it. Almost all the Primarchs landed on a world in panic, remembering nothing of their origins, their home, or even their name. At this point,
so already where he's landing, I'm having to assume, right? Thin air, and then that might just be because he's high elevation, you know what I'm saying? Like he's up in the mountains. I'm not too sure necessarily, but right now, at least, you know, at least his planet isn't like a fucking barren desert. I mean, to be honest, mountain alpine isn't really a lot better survival wise. It's still pretty barren, pretty isolated up there. But goddamn, you know, at least he's not just getting like, you know, enslaved instantly or something like that, like some of the other Primarchs, you know. But holy shit. If this one's too quick, I believe The Infinite and the Divine would be a great listen. Maybe. To be honest, I enjoy both Loyalist and Chaos. It's fun to be a servant of Chaos gods in games and roleplay. That's true. To be honest, like, yeah, I can totally see like the aspect of roleplay and Chaos, like on like the tabletop and stuff, and even just like in video games and shit like that. Like, it is fun to be the bad guy. Let's not lie to ourselves here. Now, what I will say is it's not fun to be the bad guy, like how do you say, like in games where it's like you're on the personal level, you know what I'm saying? Like Mass Effect, for example. I think that's great. I can't force myself to play like a renegade, you know, shepherd, you know what I mean? I can't do it, you know what I mean? Because it just feels fucking wrong. But like if I'm fucking playing Stellaris, bro, oh, it's on, you know what I'm saying? Like you best bet, like, you know, xenophobia all the fucking way. You know, I'm away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not there. I don't see it. These are other people doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, right? No, can't do renegade. Like, I just can't force myself to be like just a shithead for like no reason at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think what is it in Mass Effect 2? There's like a fucking scene where some girl gets like taken hostage. I think you're chasing down an Asari. I think she's I forget what you fucking call him. It's been a while since I played the Mass Effect games. But you're chasing down an Asari, and she basically takes a hostage. And like one of the renegade options is straight up just to like shoot through the fucking hostage and like to hit her. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like that's radical. Like you can't just be doing that. And a Spectre, yes, that's right. Layer of the Shadow Broker, exactly, correct. Yes, thank you, 100%. That's it. You got me, yeah. But like that's just a fucked option. Like I can't be doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But you can let Samara shoot herself, then kill her daughter after. Holy shit! I don't think I've ever done that either. Goddamn. Chaos is always completely justified. You cannot change my mind in this matter. I mean, again, like, but then you look at characters like Perturabo, where it's like, are they even Chaos? Because to me, he just seems more of like a neutral entity. And that's like from what I've seen. Now, again, we haven't watched his video. We're still getting into it, but he seems more neutral to me in a sense. He doesn't seem necessarily chaos orientated. They don't worship chaos. They utilize it, but they don't worship it, from what I understand, right? In terms of justifications for being chaos, Thousand Suns and Death Guard are the only two I can really sort of understand. Iron Warriors, sometimes they're quite psychotic. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are quite psychotic, though, to be fair. Well, let's keep going here, guys. Let's see what this world is like. I'm interested. Oops. Accidentally added a space bar in my chat. Oops.
Remembering nothing of their origins, their home, or even their name. But this boy was different. It was like the words were blazed across his soul. The boy knew he had a name. Perturabo.
So he knew his name right away.
His brothers, he possessed some fragments of memory and purpose. Perturabo, like all his brothers, would come to be shaped by the planet of his early life. The culture, the people, and the geography over the coming years would seep into the young Primarch. Olympia is a world of unbroken mountainous terrain. Crags, plateaus, temperate foliage, and terrifying monstrous beasts that resemble the creatures from Greek mythology. Humanity found this world early in the dark age of technology, leading to mass colonization and industrial mining on a scale unimaginable to modern man. The planet grew to a place of rich mineral resources, leading to the construction of a world steeped in rich stonework, art and technology. Perhaps a true paradise in its golden age. But like all things in the grimdark universe, the best days are behind us.
So very interesting off the bat, we're learning, okay, this is more of like an alpine sort of world, but this is a world that was colonized fucking very, very long ago. They've been here, obviously, a long time, right? But very rich world still. They maintained a lot of their technologies from that time period, and even continue to exploit them after the dark age of technology happened, the age of strife happened, right? So this seems like a much better world in a sense, right? Like, again, like Magnus, he landed on a pretty good world too, still went fucking traitor, you know? So like, I guess the world, your upbringing might not necessarily, what's the word, correlate to your side, you know what I mean? Your loyalty. Very interesting. Olympia equal Greece, mountains and feuding city-states. Yeah, okay. That's actually a very good mega Greece, space civil war Greece. Okay, yeah, very, very, very apt, like, representation. Yeah, I can totally see that then in that case. Olympia wasn't horrible. Everyone has beef with the Tau, it seems like. Everybody, dude.
Art and technology. Perhaps a true paradise in its golden
Oh, man, you going to bed, Tim?
But like
you have yourself a good night, man, if you're heading out.
Universe, the best days are behind us. The age of strife began. And the colonies of man became cut off from warp travel and each other. As planets starved, Olympia managed to hold on due to its technology and temperate climate, producing mass resources. But decline was inevitable. On a world with a very terrain isolated cities and colonies, divisions fostered. For thousands of years, each city, each fortress and town began to evolve their own cultures and traditions. And where there is difference amongst people, conflict is inevitable. Each independent city-state over thousands of years regressed. The understanding of technology was poorer. The mountainous and mined-out world had less and less resources. They had created their own unique pantheon of gods, each city's belief as strong as their rivals. The world
so there was a decay still
into a web of subterfuge,
very much so.
Manipulation, rivalries, and war. The people became opportunistic, pursuing wealth, security, and dominance above all else. At the technological level of pre-atomic bomb, the planet in the time of the 30th millennium is in a constant state of Cold War. Each territory is a slog of siege warfare amongst the difficult mountainous terrain.
So they're in the atomic era. That's very interesting to learn. I didn't realize. Okay. So, because again, when they're thinking like, initially I thought, okay, maybe they must be way advanced, almost in a sense like Magnus's planet, but no, that's not true. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe they're like regressed, you know, maybe they're more like medieval tech. Their resources are mined out, perhaps something of that sort. But no, they're kind of like almost in like a Fallout level, fucking like atomic like age here, you know what I'm saying? They're fighting over the last remaining resources on the planet. Whatever's left they can get their hands on. All these warring states, right? It's kind of like the world nowadays, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much kind of how it is, to be honest with you. Very Greek. I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Decay on 95% of plants at least. Yeah, true. Remember, technology isn't like a technology you can have a funky mix, especially in 40k. That's true. That's true. That is true. Like, especially we saw, we've seen like certain planets that have like, you know, power armor, but it's still very much like power armor pieces with like fucking chainmail still underneath, you know? So they're utilizing the tech that they have and filling in the gaps with, you know, obviously older age tech, easier to make stuff. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. Like a tech tree. Yeah, exactly. I think of it kind of like, it's like Civ. Like if you just like, if you rush techs in Civ, that's kind of what it's like almost, you know? That's kind of like how I'm figuring it almost as. Horses with plasma pistols and power armor, for example. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? Like you got lancers fighting alongside like, you know, fucking like modern day infantry, like World War II infantry, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make any fucking sense. But there it is. But no, I think that's really interesting. It's cool to see like the mix up of technology in 40k. I love that shit.
Each territory a slog of siege warfare amongst the difficult mountainous terrain. A society that rewards greed.
Great setting so you can kit bash whatever models you like. Yeah. Customize all you want. It's awesome.
Ruled by petty warring tyrants. Ruthless men and women woven amongst layers of complex political intrigue. People who only saw others as tools for their ambitions. Perturabo was alone. We have all felt alone in our world before, but to a level where you can't fully remember where you came from, where you have truly never even met another person before. It is possible that Perturabo felt this way, though in reality it was overrun by his instinct to survive, to adapt, and learn. The young Primarch began roaming the remote mountains of Olympia. All alone he survived, thanks to his inbuilt Primarch intellect and genetics. It was during this period of primal survival that Perturabo saw them for the first time, humans. In the search for food, Perturabo had found the flocks of local shepherds high up on the mountains. Devouring their stock, the angry farmers did their best to chase him. They were weak, and they stood no chance, but yet they still tried to chase him. Actions that possessed no logic to him. As the farmers began chasing him one day from their flock, they were attacked by a massive serpentine creature. The monster attacked and began devouring an adolescent boy. Coldly the Primarch observed them, their foolishness, and they beat the monster in an attempt to release the boy. But the boy was lost, and surely they would die if they stayed any longer. The sight was curious. As the Primarch turned, he left and felt a tug at his heart. Something in his core told him not to leave, but to help them. Why? What made him feel this way? He knew awesome. He stood no chance against the beast, and it would only put him at risk. But for a moment he felt an innate desire to protect the farmers. Like an ember, this feeling grew from a slow burn into a fire, and Perturabo resolved himself to kill the beast. But by hand, the boy's chances were pitifully low. So the Primarch trekked down from the mountains to the village of the farmers. The farmers were frightened of him, this man-sized child who had slayed their flock and used it to create ragged clothing.
Yeah, I imagine how like fucking crazy that would be though, because like yeah, he is just a man-sized child at this point. I'm assuming he's you know, I don't know again where Perturabo like stands on the scale, the Primarch scale. I'll need to look at that again at some point. But yeah, I'm assuming he's still got to be a pretty big one. So yeah, like these farmers probably are scared as fuck of him. They're trying to chase him away. He's eating. To be fair, he is just like butchering their sheep. Like they're probably just like some poor farmers out there trying to survive, you know. And you know, there, you know, is Perturabo just like fucking, you know, like blood dripping down his face, like sheep guts in his hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, looking like a wild man out there, you know, like it would be pretty frightening. I could see it. You know what I mean? Like I can see why they'd be scared of him. But he's already approaching stuff at this age with logic, and I think that's very interesting. He's approaching the problems he has with logic and with, like, you know, why should I do this if it's not going to help me? But with the desire to, I guess, just his Primarch, you know, him being a Primarch is the reason why he wants to help people instead of just let them die, in a sense. But that's not always necessarily true, because, you know, we see some Primarchs that don't necessarily care later on, at least. So maybe he'll go that way, but I don't think so. Even from what we saw in Magnus's video there, like he very much seemed to want to save people, to evacuate when possible and whatnot. So I guess we'll see. I landed in GOT season 1. Yeah, pretty much. That's basically what happened. Yeah. But like a tech tree on a hardcore game, you can't have everything at the same time. Yeah, I actually just beat Civ 5 as Portugal and Emperor. Did that last night. That was pretty good. Civ 6 be like, yeah, pretty much. Shack of Primarchs, pretty much. I'm here for my boy Perturabo. Yeah, yeah. Again, like, a lot of people seem to like him. He seems to be a favorite here. Vulcan is Andre the Giant of the Primarchs. Pretty much, yeah, he's massive, dude.
Child who had slayed their flock and used it to create ragged clothing. Perturabo, as a Primarch, began to show his otherworldliness, piecing together the sounds of what he heard from the farmers who had chased him many times upon the mountains. He spoke. He found the local
Top 3
blacksmith,
caves.
and his first words in the galaxy were to give him iron, coal, and tools. Fearful of this strange
I always play
being,
Civ on
the
stream
man
night. I love Civ,
complied,
dude.
And
It's
so
fun.
began Perturabo.
I play Civ 5 a lot.
Knowledge flowed from him as he forged, quenched, and tempered the metal before him. The farmer's curiosity overcame their fear, as seeing the strange boy perfectly work the tooling and techniques of smithing, something that might have brought excitement and wonder to anyone, but coldness was across his face, like someone who had done this not for the first time, and it was simply a mundane task. A blade was forged, and the boy set out back to the mountains, only to return hours later covered in blood, with the head of the beast. The farmer who had lost his boy to the beast approached, and asked what reward he required. Reward? The boy had not done this for reward. He did it because he wanted to help. It was his purpose. Somewhere inside Perturabo, he knew he was meant to build and protect. He had the instincts and heart of a good person, innocent like a child. But much like in our own world, innocence is often taken advantage of. The farmer gave him an expression that later he would come to dread. The smile of someone not looking at a savior or friend, but a tool.
Interesting.
To be a Primarch means to possess gifts and intellects above and beyond mortal humans. The rate in which Perturabo was learning and studying in his environment is astonishing. He was stronger, faster, and likely smarter than anyone.
He seems nice. Wait till you learn what he does to his sister. What the fuck?
He was still a boy.
Peter Turbo's an incel.
Powerful man slaying the serpentine beast.
What the fuck?
Single-handedly spread like wildfire. Perhaps on another world or in another time, he would have been seen as
one of his older videos, so not as detailed. That's fair.
But on Olympia,
she deserved it. F. What the fuck?
Tamed and abused. Damikos,
guess we'll see.
The
Maybe she does. Who knows?
The city of Lokos heard the rumors of this strange.
I don't know. I don't know. Listen, that's just chat. I listen. I'm gonna see for myself.
On seeing the strange boy in the flesh, Damikos put him to the test, witnessing his ability to defeat warriors twice his size and many times his age in combat, and also the boy's ability to solve any puzzle put to him by the tyrant-owned scholars.
Okay, if you guys say so.
Damikos was intrigued, enough to offer the boy.
She must have done some pretty rancid shit, if I had to assume.
For the young Primarch, if he had chosen another path. For Damikos, like the farmers, saw only what this Primarch could do for him, something he would see in the coming years. Perturabo was put to work, his inbuilt genius flowing forth improved weaponry and tactics, like if the very plans were inscripted on his DNA. Perturabo never discovered anything new with excitement. It was as if he was
fertile never discovered.
Memory. Perturabo over the coming years took command of Lokos's forces and began a brutal campaign of siege warfare over the planet, pumping out remarkable designs of siege engines and battle strategies. City by city fell over the decades. And
so immediately this village, maybe the nation that he was a part of, heard tell of him, I'm assuming, and perhaps drafted him. They started putting him to work, building implements of war, building siege weapons, and then they put him in charge of the forces. Over the years, like what's the time frame we're looking at? Is this like the first 5 years, I'm assuming, roughly? Probably the first like couple years at least. Like I'd assume no more than 5, right? Just by Primarch standards. She put pineapple on pizza? Dude, okay, listen, hot take. Pineapple on pizza is good. Although I'm not a picky eater, to be fair. I'll eat pretty much goddamn anything. With exceptions, of course. I'm not, not an animal, but like, I like pineapple on pizza, so I like anything on pizza. I've never had sardines though. Maybe sardines is good, but I've never had that shit. Maybe it's decent, but maybe not. Turbo can't take criticism or learn from his mistakes. Maybe. Decades Primarchs age differently. I don't think it was decades, right? Definitely decades didn't pass so far.
Battle strategies. City by city fell over the decades. And fell under the banner of
maybe decades
Danikos
have.
of
Over the
Lokos.
decades, okay.
The Primarch's victories were incredible, but something was wrong. He had
Okay, I
no
got
one
you.
to share it with. The Primarch learned quickly, enough to see the pit of vipers that surrounded him in Lokos. Intrigue, jealousy,
I see what you mean, a little less
arrogance, and
detailed, but
selfishness
not bad.
pervaded Olympian high society.
Still getting the point
Perturabo
across.
began to see how they saw him. The freak, the fool, the one to be used for their own ends. No one on Olympia loved him. Not Danikos, not one of his stepbrothers and sisters. They loved what he could do for them. His inbuilt genius was a curse. He felt no joy. He was only reciting from memory. He had never created anything from his own heart. The effects of this life was leading to scars on the inside. He was the great Perturabo, the boy descended from the heavens, veteran warrior of countless campaigns, the perfect man. There was no place for weakness. One day during the latter decade on his time in Olympia, Perturabo challenged his foster brother Andros to a sculptural competition. The distance he had put himself emotionally meant that Perturabo saw himself as superior to everyone, and everyone in his life had reinforced that. For weeks, Andros, a mere mortal man, toyed with his work, whilst Perturabo lauded over the perfect piece he had created in a single day. The day of judgment arrived, and Perturabo showed his piece to the court. This immaculate sculpture that brought the court to tears. Its artistry was amazing, incredible even. Though he would never admit it, Perturabo bathed in the praise that he had become used to, until Andros revealed his piece.
So he's very much getting used to the applause, used to the praise. Like, he has been so fucking useful to the people of this world ever since the day he arrived, technically. And they've just been, he it seems like he has a problem with being used, but he likes the praise. It's very, very interesting. It's a kind of interesting character flaw because it's, it's realistic in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Because like people don't like being taken advantage of, but you do like getting praised for your work when you do it, right? So it's like, but it's one of those awkward mixes, one of those awkward things in this situation, at least, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to say. Imagine being shown any new tech, a tool, vehicle, computer, etc. But the moment you take it, you know exactly how it works. No new joy in new things, just knowing everything about it. Yeah, that's the thing too. He already knows how to build everything. Nothing's new to him, so there's no joy to be found in his life. So the only thing he really does have is praise, you know? Yeah, the inability to gain joy from learning or growing. Exactly, exactly. Of course, it's good, but even by the length, you can tell it's older. His new videos are like 3 hours. Yeah, that is true. That is true. His newer ones are a lot longer for sure. This one's only an hour and 5 minutes long. But it's just weird because 3 years ago, you know, hour long. 2 years ago, 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? So it's just cool to see like how much he grew in a sense, or maybe just put more work into the video in terms of narration. You know what I'm saying? Because I imagine it does take a long time to put those videos together, narrate it all, put it together, especially with all the effect work he does in the videos and like all the different illustrations and stuff changing throughout. They probably do take quite a bit to put together for sure, for sure. Grow up, for sure you accepted all things from young life. Yeah, I guess so.
That he had become used to, until Andros revealed his piece. It was perfection personified. The creativity, how the light played on it. It truly captures your soul. Perturabo lost. He was the Primarch. He was the genius. He was beyond human.
So he lost this competition.
To a mere man. Perturabo destroyed the two works, smashing Andros's piece to dust.
Oh, really?
He hated it. Because he hated how it made him feel. Because for all the genius he possessed, he was missing one thing: humanity. He had never truly connected with anyone. He never felt the joy of discovery or the humility of defeat. He raged like a child because he had never experienced the maturity that love brings.
I see. Is that why, in a sense, maybe that's why, in a sense, like he like seemed to grow a little bit when he met his brothers. Maybe that's a wrong interpretation, but maybe that's like, you know, because he finally felt like some semblance of like somebody kind of knows how I feel, somebody, you know, kind of understands me in a sense, you know. They're not I'm not just like some fucking like, you know, I'm not alone out there in the universe, you know, in a sense. Because even the Emperor, he's not you know, he can't relate to the Primarchs. Like he can, but he can't, you know, and he usually doesn't. Let's be completely honest, by choice or otherwise. I believe it's because he got an editor. That's fair. That's fair. Honestly, an editor does a lot of good work. I wish I had an editor, but you know, that's it's a cost I can't afford. I got to edit that shit myself. You know what I'm saying? That's why it needs some work. I know I'm not the best at editing, but you know, I try my best.
It was time. Decades of being a frontline strategist under his adoptive father. The time had come. A part of him knew he was created. His genius was no accident. And finally, his creator, his true father, had come. Seeing from miles away, Perturabo rushed to the highest mountain of Olympia. Perhaps for the first time in his life, he had felt excitement. At the peak, he saw him, the perfect being, a face of brilliance and sincerity, and he wept.
My son,
he said. His lips remained in that sincere expression of pleasure, the like of which Perturabo had never seen on the calculating faces of the Olympians. No words passed his lips, but still he spoke.
I have found you.
Perturabo swayed. The pressure of his father's mind was immense. The much-feared star maelstrom was nothing compared to this power. Perturabo's deepest thoughts were dragged out into the light of his soul, and read as easily as words on paper. He looked down on the man, then fell to his knees with all humility, a quality which until this moment he had not known in himself.
Father.
Kneeling, Perturabo was still taller than the man, but he was left in no doubt that the strange visitor surpassed him in every way.
Really?
I am the Emperor of Terra, and of all mankind,
said the man, now speaking aloud. His voice was calm, and full of the promise of great things.
Interesting that he describes him as being taller. That's kind of crazy, eh? I would have thought the Emperor would have definitely been taller. Like when I picture him, I think of him being taller than the Primarchs, but I believe he just said otherwise there, which is kind of interesting. But obviously he knows that he surpasses him in every way still, you know, which I think is very interesting. Like you can kind of tell when you lay Emperor can manipulate. I guess that's true. He could manipulate. Oh, do you think that's what it is? Because he knows that like Perturabo is going to fucking like take it personally in a sense, right? Like he's going to fucking like, you know, have that like small dick syndrome in a sense and be like, oh, nah, you know? So he's trying to like give him like at least one up, you know, in a sense. You think that's it? That makes sense. I could see that given what just happened. You know what I mean? Emperor is normally 10 feet unless he needs to destroy something. Yeah. Okay. Shit. Magnus also manipulated his height to not look small in front of his bros. Oh, shit. It should probably be mentioned that he has an innate ability to sense the Eye of Terror even when he first arrived to Olympia. Oh, is that what that is? He was talking about the Maelstrom. Is that what he was talking about there? Because he can sense it. Oh, damn. The Emperor's psychic powers make people see him as their preferred version of him. I see. So he can sense how somebody wants to see them. And he just like alters his appearance to them specifically. Not everybody around him, but just specifically to them. Is that correct? Oh, he's the one who named the Eye of Terror. God damn.
Speaking aloud, his voice was calm and full of the promise of great things.
You are Perturabo. I am,
said Perturabo.
You know me.
The Emperor laid a hand on his shoulder. Warriors in tall helms and golden armor were arrayed behind the Emperor. They watched him closely.
You are as dauntless as I intended you to be.
The Emperor looked out over the world, as if he could see the smallest detail from their lofty vantage.
You have achieved much.
His smile broadened with delight.
I see a world of peace, filled with mighty castles and marvelous devices. We have much to talk of, and I can teach you a great deal. I sense the hunger in you for knowledge. I think you and I have many nights of discussion ahead of us. Yes,
Really?
Said Perturabo.
please.
He was struck near dumb by wonder.
Will you offer me your allegiance? Will you join with me and pledge yourself to humanity's service?
The warriors in gold tensed, their weapons pointed at Perturabo. Ordinarily, this insult would have sent him into a towering rage, but Perturabo's arrogance, until then immutable as iron, melted and was swept away, and he answered meekly.
I want nothing more. I swear that I shall serve you faithfully for all time. This I pledge.
The Emperor looked
Interesting,
at him
he
with
would
the
normally
expression
take that as an
of
insult,
infinite
not this
wisdom.
time, though.
Deep in his eyes, sorrow lurked. Perturabo wished more than anything to banish that sadness if he could.
Wow.
Then rise, my son.
The sadness was hidden away again, so that Perturabo doubted he'd even seen it, and was ashamed he could impute such an emotion to so perfect a being.
Your road will be hard. but
Perturabo
few
only wanted to
are
build.
worthy
Deep down, he hated
said the
warfare and
Emperor.
destruction.
I have many tasks for you.
It seems like
The
it.
indefatigable, the indomitable, the unrelenting. You shall be my Lord of Iron.
Perturabo cried out in unabashed joy. Finally, he felt acceptance without caveat. Love radiated from the Emperor for his found son. Perturabo basked in it. For the first time, he felt a sense of true belonging.
And may it forever be so.
God damn. And that's called foreshadowing. Yeah, very interesting to see him like openly pledge loyalty and in fact like throw himself down to try to like get any sort of acceptance, any sort of knowledge gained. So I wonder how this is going to go. What's ultimately going to sway him? Is it going to be his friendship with his brothers? Is it going to be the fact that he doesn't think that the Emperor is getting him enough? I'm really curious to see what it's going to be. Obviously, no one spoil it for me here because I want to see it for myself. But like, you know, I'm very curious. You know, like this is like, you know, he doesn't necessarily seem like a like a bad guy. He just kind of seems like he wants to learn, you know what I mean? Like he wants knowledge. He's middle in terms of height. He just wears a massive set of equivalent Terminator / Dreadnought armor. I see. So he's actually like height wise pretty middle, but like his armor is just fucking gigantic. I see. Perturabo over Rogel. Goddamn. And thus Perturabo was enslaved to the Emperor. That's an interesting interpretation, because I suppose that is a way to look at it in a sense. He did just offer him everything he ever wanted, and he did just openly take it. So yeah, maybe. Dorn is boring as hell, though. Goddamn.
Perturabo had spent decades on a world where he was used as a tool in the army of a tyrant, and now his father had come to save him from this existence. All his life he had been surrounded by vipers, the selfish nobility of Olympia, who would laud praise upon his works and accomplishments. But no one ever praised the man, Perturabo, for no one really cared enough to know who he was, and what he cared about, what he dreamed of. His time in Olympia was also confounded by fear. Long ago, during this time amongst the mountains, the young Primarch had peered towards the heavens and gazed upon a strange nebulous stellar maelstrom erupting across the galaxy.
Oh, okay, this is the Eye of Terror.
He found that no one else could see it. The Primarch felt at all times as if he was being watched, like something malevolent stared at him constantly, watching, waiting, judging. A constant source of background paranoia that clung to him through his daily life. The expectations of genius and perfection were suffocating in Olympian high society, and he feared sharing this as it could be seen as weakness, a dangerous thing to share amongst Olympians. In fact, his entire life had reinforced this disdain, seeing the farmers too weak to defend themselves against the serpentine monster, the weakness inside the fortresses he conquered, the weakness inside him when Andros, a mere man, beat him in competition.
That was a pretty big showing of weakness, I won't lie.
By reuniting with his father, he learned
that was
of
pretty
the Great
weak.
Crusade, a dream to unite humanity across the stars. His father told him his journey would be tough, and he expected great things from Perturabo. Perhaps for the first time in his life, he had someone who he truly didn't want to disappoint. The Emperor gave him tutelage and connection, and after a brief amount of time, he was given his sons, his legion, the Iron Warriors. Perturabo was no longer just a demigod amongst mortals. Now he had brothers, equals, or in some ways, rivals. He would become the strongest warrior. He would create the greatest technology.
Interesting how not friends, but rivals. That's the word that's used there.
The Emperor demanded. His father would see. Having instituted a full review of the 4th Legion's war record, doctrines and practices, and having compared them with the other legions, Perturabo found his sons fell far from this ideal of strength. They were meant to be the greatest force under the Emperor, worthy of praise, but they were failing. They were his failure. The sons created from his own genetics were weak, and that made him look weak. His punishment was decimation. For all the Legion's failings, they would suffer. The orders were given. War is unequivocal, uncaring, unforgiving, and blind. Blind also will be the selection of those who will pay the blood price for the great failure of your record. 1 in every 10 of the Legion, chosen at random by lottery, was beaten to death by his own comrades with their bare hands.
So I wonder, is this right when he takes charge of the Legion? Or is this after he's had the Legion for a while? Perhaps their combat record isn't living up to his standard. Or is this like right when he takes control of the Legion and, you know, he's reviewing their record for the first time and he's like, oh, fuck. You know, this ain't gonna work, Chief. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys have not been pulling weight here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to fix this. Right as he takes the Legion? Almost immediately after. Okay, wow. So he's not even really giving them a chance. Like, instead of like implementing any like major changes or like, hey, maybe we do this differently, it's just like, no, you guys are failures. You're born from my gene seed. You're weak. That makes me look bad. So right away, we're gonna fucking nip that in the bud right away. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. To be fair, this is a pretty major change. I mean, this is this isn't really so much a change as much as it's like, isn't this more like just like a like an obliteration? I like it. This is a change, I suppose, but it's not really like a, you know, we can change it and we can observe the results as we go kind of thing. Like, this is pretty immediate, you know. Goddamn.
Was beaten to death by his own comrades with their bare hands. Warriors that had fought together, shared
as
life
Bricky once said, Perturabo, a man so bitter coffee beans run for light.
Encounter with their Primarch was humbling. They were not friends, not family.
I can see that.
They were to be a machine, a tide of soul-hardened veterans, the standard, the exemplars that would be heralded as the greatest. There was no place for weakness.
Simple, succeed in the mission or be executed. True, I guess. True.
The hammer of
Stakes are pretty high at that point.
The Primarch of the Iron Warriors. Iron within, iron without. Perturabo was now in complete command of his legion and set out upon the Great Crusade. His legion had been remade into his own image, like many of his brothers. Efficient and highly capable, siege experts but also brutal, bitter and envious. This brutal start to his command had not gone unnoticed, as many of his brothers such as Rabute Gulliman decried the decimation. As Hastate's warriors made for the reunification of humanity died like animals. Some had even fought by Gilliman's side before the discovery of Perturabo, and they deserved better.
Wow.
Perturabo was made as the Emperor intended, cold and calculating. Numbers, technology, and knowledge were coded into his very being. This made it difficult for him to connect
very
with
practical.
His brothers, even though deep down it was what he wanted. Perhaps his only true friend was Magnus. Their fascination with hidden knowledge created a bond of respect and innovation between them. Magnus and his sorcery, Perturabo and his technology. It was perhaps only for the Emperor and Magnus that Perturabo created gifts, something he was not forced to make, but something he had wanted to create. However, as the decades progressed during the Great Crusade, the duty and wonder that captured Perturabo upon his first meeting with the Emperor began turning to ash. Perturabo was created to build, improve, and protect. He had even begun to fuse augmetics to his own brain to improve every aspect of his mind. But his very purpose was given to another, Rogel Dawn of the Imperial Fists, who received the task of fortifying the capital of Terra. Perturabo and his legion had spent a near century in constant warfare, bloody engagement after bloody engagement, slogging through conflicts so mind-numbingly appalling.
Now, I can kind of see why Rogel would have been chosen over him. Like, they're more defense orientated, more so than siege orientated. But obviously, you know, I'm sure we've all heard the term "a good offense is the best defense." You know, in a sense that is true. Ideally, if you're never going to get attacked, then you never need to defend, in a sense, right? But having people that are good at siege warfare also fortify your city. I mean, they're the best at it. Surely they would know, you know, in a sense, the best way to crack into a city, best way to defend it, if that's their job to do so, you know. But it does make a lot more sense that Rogel was chosen over him, for sure. Yeah, Dorn, defense over offense. Yeah, it makes more sense that Dorn was chosen. He's the defense guy, right? But this is obviously just something that Perturabo can be salty over and will be, I'm sure, you know, eventually. Well, not even eventually. It sounds like he's pretty salty about it right now already.
After
Angron style. This is 1 in 10 of his super soldiers being forced to kill a random soldier. Yeah, like it's pretty brutal. It's a pretty brutal way to start it off. Like, you have to think of like how much of a waste that is, in a sense. Dorn damn near killed his legion trying to breach Peter's defenses. I mean, yeah, like, yeah, he's a defense guy. He's not an offense guy. That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, again, if you're gonna, like, personally, if it was me, I probably would have picked Perturabo. But, like, hindsight's a bitch. I mean, I'm sure the Emperor could probably see that Perturabo might have potentially been traitor down the line, or at least saw a potential outcome where he was, and maybe he just didn't see that with Dorn, and maybe that's another reason why he picked him. But, yeah, personally, I would have picked Perturabo, personally. But
a bloody engagement, slogging through conflict so mind-numbingly apocalyptic you would be overwhelmed by it. They had cracked the toughest fortresses, they had built the mightiest bastions and outposts in the Imperium, and the task, the glory, was given to another. Did the Emperor not see their strength? Did his father not care? Did he not see how they suffered for him? A familiar feeling began to bubble under Perturabo's skin. Jealousy. Something again he could not.
Dorn and the Lion were probably the most incorruptible.
As it was a weakness.
Exactly. That's exactly why, like, with the Emperor and his hindsight, that's why, like, Dorn was the best decision. But without the Emperor's hindsight, Perturabo to me probably would have been a better choice. I should clarify, right? But obviously, again, like, with being the Emperor, you can see these potential outcomes down the line. Potentially, you can see the corruptibility of Perturabo versus the corruptibility of Dorn. And obviously, from the Emperor's standpoint, you know, you're not looking to get, you know, you're not looking to get killed. So, and you're not looking for humanity to fall like that. So, yeah, it totally makes sense why he would pick Dorn over him in this instance. Yes, 100%.
Something again he could not bring himself to tell anyone, as it was a weakness. This feeling only festered over the latter days of the Great Crusade, as the Iron Warriors were constantly thrown at the worst the galaxy had to offer, bringing home impossible victories, only to then hear of the triumphs of Rogel Dorn, Sanguinius, and Guilliman across the Imperium. Hostile human federations were crushed, Orc empires erased. The Legion even suffered a brutal campaign against the Hrud of the Saktarada Steeps, a region that Perturabo saw as strategically useless. Nevertheless, he dutifully oversaw the purging of the Hrud, despite his legion's heavy casualties. The Hrud, using their unique technology, would rapidly age their enemy until nothing but dust remained. Legionaries who caught a glancing blow found their bodies rapidly aged and falling apart. Perturabo even himself suffered a blow from these foul Xenos weapons, and though a Primarch, he'd felt his body aged. This campaign had left the Iron Warriors fleet nearly shattered.
Wow.
All of this suffering for a useless piece of real space his own brothers said was not worth sacrificing their legions for. All in the name of the Emperor, who had retreated to Terra and granted Horus the position of War Master. Perturabo's wounds and
scary aliens,
his legion
Hrud are like slime monsters that control time to kill
nothing.
people. Oh shit, yeah, okay. Yeah, having the ability to age your fucking enemy like that is fucking, that's a very scary ability to have. Like, I imagine that would be a massive threat. Like, you know, thank God the Imperium doesn't believe in, you know, reverse engineering, because, like, fuck. You know, I mean, it depends. Is it like a biological? They said technology, so I'm guessing it's a tech that they have, right? It's not like a psyker or like a biological ability they have, you know, in a sense. It has to be tech, right? After all this, just maybe say, good job, my son. Literally. And that's the thing, too. He's being sent to go take useless, by their own definition, right? Useless chunks of real space. He's wasting his legion's lives on it. Heavy casualties, and everyone else is just like, yeah, it's fucking useless. Good job, Perturabo, I guess. Like, you know, slow clap for him, I guess, you know, like, what the fuck, you know? I can see where, like, the saltiness might come from, might stem from at that level, yeah.
Nothing.
Tech and biology, that makes sense. I'd assume, like, they couldn't reverse engineer it or something like that, because if they could, goddamn. Not like they would anyway, again, but
a near century
Mechanicus
of constant
might.
warfare. Perturabo and his legion had seen the worst the galaxy had to offer. and were now a force of grizzled veterans. The Primarch was at a low point though. His legion was in shambles after the Hrud, the soldiers exhausted and desensitized, and their Primarch was angry that he had been put in this position. Then the worst news of all came. Olympia was in rebellion. Generations of families had given up their sons, never to see them again, as they died in brutal conflicts far from home. The schools were empty, the homes were quiet. This was a world celebrated for its renowned architecture, its technology, its bustling unique city cultures, and in its time under the Imperium, its resources and people were now barren. Perturabo was struck with intense anger and shame. Of all his brothers, his homeworld had rebelled. The embarrassment was immense. What would they think of the great Perturabo, the hammer of Olympia? Rugged Dawn would never have suffered this mistake, this weakness. What would the Empress say? The Primarch organized his legion, and lit by the anger caused by great shame, they plotted a course back to Olympia. The cold and calculating demigod was filled with rage. Upon his arrival in the system, the Olympians sent diplomats to negotiate with the Primarch, relying on what they had always tried, scheming and manipulating. Perturabo was done. He saw again the eyes of vipers, the ones who in his youth saw him as a tool to be exploited, to be used. We all despised those who hurt us, the ones who...
So I wonder, I don't think at this point, like, he's being used by these people anymore. Like, if anything, they're like, he's using those people, right? And, you know, well, the Imperium certainly is at a minimum, right? And I think they're just trying to negotiate, like, hey man, like it's not working out so well, like we got no one left, you know, and maybe they're just trying to get that point across. But you know, Perturabo being as arrogant, as proud as he is, you know, he's not going to let this slight just slide, you know. Yeah, I assume an exterminatus is probably in order here, you know. Goddamn, fuck. Jagatai will return one day with Elder Wife and tell you, and you all hate him. Maybe, yeah, that would be pretty baller. I'm not gonna lie. Jagatai just rolls up. They were able to steal other people's tech and improve it, which is bad for Purdy, who used a lot of tech. That makes a lot of sense. Like they're like almost a direct counter to him in that instance. The Chad Daniok fights. Hint, hint. 2-hour vid, by the way. I just took over 100 planets. Did I do good? Yeah, sure, whatever. Wow, Dorn, you took a city? Who's my goodest boy? Pretty much. That's literally it, though, isn't it? Like, holy fuck. Same with Gilliman, though, right? At this point, Perturabo is tired of selfish people. That makes sense. At this point, again, the Crusade has been going on for years at this point. You know, decades, I'm not sure centuries yet, maybe even centuries. And he feels very tired of it all, very done with it all. You know, the Emperor promised him greatness, reward, praise. He's not really getting any of that. Promised to teach him things. I don't really think he's getting much of that either. He hasn't really felt that fulfillment still, even though he was promised it. I can kind of almost see, you know, I can see it kind of.
To be used. We all despise those who hurt us, the ones who in life make us feel weak, like we mean nothing, the ones who talk about us behind our back. Perturabo in truth hated all of them. He hated the nobles, the people, and in a way he hated his sons, because they never cared, they never loved him. This emotion inside the Primarch unbalanced him. It made him feel in ways that left him vulnerable, left him weak. And all this weakness must be purged. Iron within, iron without.
Yeah, this is definitely a mistake.
Legion, Perturabo ordered decimation on the entire world of Olympia. The Legion descended. Bombardments and drop pods rained from the skies, landing amongst the very fortresses and bastions the Primarch had built during his youth under Damikos. The world burned. The Astartes of the Iron Warriors had endured so much under their Primarch. The decimation, the mind-numbingly brutal conflicts. and now they were purging their very home. The boys who had grown up in these very cities, who had laughed and cried, trained, just to join the ranks of the greatest army in the galaxy, the 4th Legiones Astartes. City by city fell, the citizens purged by their increasingly reluctant iron warriors.
So he used the word decimation there at the start. Now this certainly isn't a decimation. This is an exterminatus, like straight up, right? Like he's not leaving survivors, right? Like let's not get like confused here, right? Like he's certainly not leaving survivors. Like he's talking about just orbital bombarding cities, right? Unless you're talking about decimation on like the grand scale, like 1 out of every, 10 cities kind of thing, maybe. Possibly. I mean, I guess that'd be number-wise probably the easier way to keep track, I suppose. Literally, some of his legion tries to stop him from destroying his planet, and he just kills them too. That's fucked. Yeah, I assume like these are people that have lived there. Like the whole reason they're rebelling in the first place is because there's next to nobody left on the planet to begin with. All their children are being drafted, right? So yeah, all the people from like all the Legion is basically from here. Not all of them, but a good chunk of the new recruits would have been from this planet, right? So yeah, for them to go through with this would be very, very difficult, I'm sure. But yeah, like, I mean, I guess orders are orders, but yeah, you talk back like you're a traitor, so a non-orbital exterminatus. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like exterminatus is obviously done from orbit, but in this case they're getting personal with it, but that is what it is at the end of the day. Like, let's not, confuse it. He's basically the guy with 3 degrees, gets told to do the research for the presentation, but the other guy who reads off his PowerPoint gets the promotion. Yeah. It's kind of like it's almost like a bit of a Walter White situation in a sense, like where it's like, he kind of took his thing and left, or he got kicked out, whatever have you, and then is given no credit later down the line. It is an open rebellion. It's either make them an example or send Konrad Kurz. I suppose. I mean, but they sent diplomats, right? And the whole point of the Great Crusade was diplomacy where you can. Well, for depending on the Primarch, I guess, that you came across. But like the whole point was trying to unify humanity, right? Try to be diplomatic where you can. And if they're trying to send diplomats to try to conduct peace talks right out the gate, it's kind of one of those things. But yeah, you definitely don't want Konrad Kurz coming to the planet. That would be bad. Will you react to non-Amber King creators on these streams? Baltimore does good quality longer videos. Yeah, absolutely. We will do I've just been doing Amber King lately, for most of them now, because like he has so many great longer lore videos that I would like to get to, and he doesn't have all the Primarchs obviously, but he's got a good chunk of them, and he's got a good chunk of the more important characters as well. I think he just does a really good job on them, I really enjoy the Amber King's videos, frankly. I think he does a fantastic job on them. That's why I've been picking him lately. But like, yeah, if there's ever a video where it's like, he doesn't maybe have that character done yet, or maybe, he's, just doesn't have that certain thing, then yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do a pull for it, for sure. Of course, you got to leave me recommendations. So, you gotta put that in the Discord, or you gotta, put it in the comments down in the YouTube comments there, and you gotta, get some likes on that, It's the only way I'll know. True, but you kill like 10k people and the rest agree with you, easy. Sending Konrad Kurz is usually to make an example, to be fair. That's true, yeah. You send Konrad when you need a point to be made. He's so self-hating that he doesn't realize that he himself is acting the same way. The Great Crusade diplomacy was join or be slaughtered. True. So I guess maybe in this instance, it's the fact that they've already joined, and now they're choosing to not join anymore. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's why they're getting the fate that they are potentially. I could see that. His Sigismund video is S+. Yeah, we'll have to check him out sometime. Again, I know a lot of you guys have been asking for him. I've just been trying to get through the Primarch videos so far because, I want want to get as much information about the Primarchs as I can, just because you know, we're going to be doing that paint set soon. You know, I gotta know what I'm doing. You know, and I want as much information about the Primarchs and the legions as I can possibly get going into that.
The citizens purged by their increasingly reluctant Iron Warriors. Perhaps in truth, this all felt like vengeance. The punishment for the world that had treated the Primarchs so poorly. Perturabo was lost in his anger, and millions would suffer for it. Staring on in his cold anger, Perturabo saved Lokos for last, the home he had been raised in, the place he'd built from a warring city-state to an empire. There he went to confront the leader of this rebellion, Caliphone, his elderly foster sister, the family he rejected so long ago. With the thud of a giant, Perturabo entered the throne room. The elderly Caliphone, augmented and altered to extend her life, was now a frail old woman, but her mind was still sharp, and her words just as venomous.
For a long time, I thought you a fool to follow the Emperor. After all, he is a tyrant, like all the rest. Look what he has done to you, I thought. He has brutalized you, and your wars have brutalized your home. But the truth is, brother, I have followed your campaigns carefully, and I noticed a pattern that disturbed and then alarmed me. Always, you do things the most difficult way and in the most painful manner.
Wow.
You cultivate a martyr's complex, lurching from man to man, holding out your bleeding wrists so they might see how you hurt yourself. You brood in the shadows when all you want to do is scream, "Look at me!" You are too arrogant to win people over through effort. You expect people to notice you, there in the half-darkness, and point and shout out, "There is the great Perturabo. See how he labors without complaint." You came to this court as a precocious child. Your abilities were so prodigious that nobody stopped to look at what you were becoming.
She got shakily to her feet, exoskeletal braces whirred under her skirts.
Perturabo, this will anger you, but you never truly grew into a man.
I am not a man,
he said.
I am far more.
In those words is the poison that spoils your potential.
Wow.
It is not the Emperor who has driven this world into rebellion. It is not he who has held it back. It is you and your woeful egotism. Let me tell you, my brother, you who affects to despise love so much, yet must certainly crave it over all other things, you are the biggest fool I have ever met.
With a cry.
Wow. She's kind of spitting some facts right now. I don't know, man. Some of you guys were saying, like, she deserves what she's about to get. I don't know. She's like, it's not wrong. Everything she's saying right there is not necessarily wrong, like, at all. And she even says, like, this might hurt you. I'm sorry. Like she almost sounds like she's not trying to hurt him almost, but that she's telling it to him to try to, like, make him fucking understand, you know, in a sense. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ignore them, they were trolling. Maybe, like, I don't know. She seems very right. She seems very, very right here. God damn. Wow. Like, that whole, like, speech about, like, you know, you hold out your wrists, like, expecting people to cry out, Perturabo, there he is, the great Perturabo. Yeah, like, he does just expect that praise. He, you know, but he's doing it without complaint and then getting angry when he's not communicating his wants, in a sense, you know? And maybe he is, but I don't think so. I think he's just staying silent about it and then being salty about it, you know? So yeah, I don't know. Weak human, they knew the repercussions, I suppose. But, like, also, what's the alternative, I guess, in a sense, is kind of what she's saying.
You are the biggest fool I have
He wants to
ever
be seen
met.
as humble,
With a
but clearly
cry
needs
of
some
anger,
appreciation.
Perturabo
Exactly.
lunged forwards
Exactly.
and grasped her by the throat. He raised her up until she was level with his eyes. She grabbed weakly at his wrist. Her mouth gasped for air.
I am far from a fool, sister.
He said,
I wished for more from life. I hoped to build a better world for people. I have found that there is only brutality. Whether the court intrigues of the tyrants or this war to conquer the stars, it is all the same. Violence is the constant of human existence.
She choked.
It need not be. That is the violence within you speaking.
No, no, no.
He said smoothly.
I know my own limitations. My temper does not cloud my judgment. It focuses it. Humanity is venal and fractious. It can never be governed as one. Everything else is an impossible dream. There is no peace. There is no goodness.
He stroked away the hair from his sister's face with one hand as he strangled her with the other.
And in such a flawed universe, there can be no mercy for traitors.
She choked, trying and failing to speak. Coldly, Perturabo squeezed the life from her.
You have lived long enough.
She kept her eyes locked with his as he throttled her, even as her clawing hands became more desperate, and a dreadful clicking sounded in her throat. She stared into his soul. What he saw reflected in her eyes was not fear, not loathing, but pity. With a last minor effort, he crushed her neck. Her eyes rolled back to show the whites, and she judged him no more. He stared at her in hatred a moment, wavering on the brink of tearing her body to pieces. But a sob escaped his mouth unexpectedly, and he gently lowered her back into her throne. Her head lolled on its broken neck. Warning chimes peeped insistently from the augmetics concealed in her skirt. A trickle of blood ran from her mouth. Appalled at what he had done, Perturabo turned away.
Appalled. Wow. Wow. So appalled at what he had done. That's kind of fucked, because he's literally sitting there talking about how anger doesn't cloud his judgment, it focuses it, and then instantly he does something and he's upset about it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So it's just almost further confirmation that exactly what she was saying was true and correct in basically every sense. And he just couldn't see it. He couldn't. He couldn't remove himself just to see it, I suppose. But, wow. It's not wrong to expect some praise for what he's accomplished. No, that's not wrong. But what is wrong is, like, not voicing your complaints, but then still being salty about, like, having, like still holding a grudge, essentially, over nothing. Like, again, if you don't want to do these jobs, right? If you don't want to take these planets, let somebody else do it then, in a sense, right? Gilliman said he didn't want to. Okay, well, what determines whether a Primarch decides whether they want to take this planet or not? If he's choosing to do it just because he's prideful and he wants to prove he's the best, that's his prerogative at the end of the day, right? Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe that's the wrong way to think of it, but I don't think the Emperor's orders are to be questioned. Well, no, I'm not saying question the Emperor's orders, right? The worlds are going to get conquered regardless, right? But for example, right, if Gilliman says, that land isn't strategic, I'm not going to take it. Doran says, that land's not strategic, I'm not going to take it. And then Perturabo comes in and just decides to do it because they decided not to, because it was a worthless planet in a sense. That's his prerogative to do that, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's not disobeying the Emperor. That's simply like, this world has no fucking meaning, but he's choosing to go take it anyway to prove a point to people. And then when he's not praised for doing that, that's when he has an issue. It's not his choice. Well, whose choice is it then? Who like, as a Primarch, how as a Primarch do you get to turn down if that world is not strategically viable to you? Why do you get to turn it down? Why do you get to not go and take it instantly still? You know what I mean? Gilliman and Dorn didn't refuse the order. They just said it's not an important planet. Exactly. So was the difference there that Perturabo was like actually physically ordered to go take it? Is that what it was? Versus like, you know, they were not ordered and they just didn't see it as strategically viable to take in the first place? Is that the difference there? Is that where I'm getting confused, perhaps? Okay, maybe. All right. Yeah, no, if he was ordered to do it, then yeah, okay, then fair enough. Fair play. Yeah, he should probably get some recognition for that. Yes, at this point, the Emperor was War Master and gave orders. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, listen. If that's the case, if he was physically ordered to do it, he did it without complaint, he took the planet and then got no recognition at all for it. Yeah, okay. Absolutely understandable then. I thought it was more the case, again, like if they're on the Great Crusade, they're each kind of doing their own thing, taking planets for the Imperium as you go. But then let's say one guy sees this shithole planet, decides it's not worth it, passes it on. Next guy sees it, passes it on. Third guy sees it, takes it. But then that's kind of what I was thinking, you know? But like the way you guys describe it, that makes more sense.
He murdered her. He killed his own family with his bare hands. I think he realized that he was wrong. There were people who cared about him. People who saw how magnificent he was. And he was blind to it. Caliphone was right about him. No one had forced him to be a slave to tyrants. He chose it. He put himself in the most brutal conflicts in the galaxy. He had offered it willingly. All in the name of receiving praise as the strongest, the legion, the man without weakness.
See, right there, guys, I don't know. That makes it sound sus to me.
Not tears of joy for when he met his father, but tears of pain and shame. He murdered his own family and purged his home because of his insecurities. The Primarch became gripped with fear. How was the Emperor ever going to forgive this atrocity? But nothing came. No censure, no punishment, no justice. In fact, just nothing. Perturabo had done something unforgivable, only to be met with silence. No one cared. The Emperor didn't care. It was just another securing of a non-compliant world. Perturabo was made to build and protect, to create a future for humanity. But how was the Emperor any different from Damikos? From the nobles of Olympia? He was just another uncaring tyrant. It was at Perturabo's lowest point when Horus came to him. The War Master, already corrupted by chaos, began to whisper in his ear.
Oh no, Horus rolls up with his fucking white van, candy written on the side, you know what I'm saying? And he starts whispering sweet nothings into Perturabo's ear. Oh no, here it is, guys. Oh, fuck. Oh, like this is how he gets him, right? 100% this is how he gets him. Hey, I see you don't get any praise. Perturabo, did you know you're actually the best boy in the whole Imperium? Did you know I actually think you're amazing at everything? I think you're just so cool, man. Hey, did you hear about these cool guys over in the warp, you know? Like they're really chill, you know, and they'll praise you a lot too, you know? Just why don't you hang out with me a little bit longer, you know? Like what the fuck? Like Perturabo straight up getting groomed over here by Horus is what it sounds like. Like straight up. I think those might have been his actual words. Like, yeah, like literally, dude. Like what the fuck? Comes to him at his weakest moment. Like what the fuck? Jesus. That's not cool. It didn't help that Horus was always the most charismatic of all the Primarchs. Generally a good guy before the corruption. Yeah, like Horus, that's what I mean. Like Horus was well liked. He was well received by pretty much everyone before he was corrupted. So they would have not really any reason to distrust him. That's the thing, right? Like that's I kind of use the word grooming there because that's kind of what it is. Goddamn.
The War Master, already corrupted by chaos, began to whisper in his ear, "You are right about the Emperor. He is an unjust tyrant. Serve me and I will acknowledge you, your gifts, your genius, your strength."
So the exact same thing.
Lied to us. He has lied about the warp. I will forgive you for your atrocities, brother. Perturabo was vulnerable. He hated more than anything to be vulnerable. to be weak. Perturabo pledged his service to Horus and betrayed the Imperium. With the betrayal of Horus at the infamous Isstvan III massacre revealed.
So I just want to say, is what I just said incorrect there? Is what I just said incorrect there? At all? Because, like, listen, guy, I want to say I called that shit. But goddamn, like, can you imagine Alfarius for all this time? Knowing that from the start and still pushing forward? Jeez. Yeah, Alfarius, I need to look at a video about Alfarius, to be honest with you guys. Like, I genuinely need to check him out. He seems very interesting. You guys keep mentioning him a lot. I need to check him out, you know? The traders didn't know about chaos at the beginning. To them, it was a revolt. Some only started to see the truth later on because the word bearers due to Erebus. I see. The Emperor deserved to be betrayed. Oof. Oof. I'm Alfarius. Oh, here we go. Yeah. If I'm Alfarius, then I'm Alfarius too.
With the betrayal of Horus at the infamous Isstvan III massacre revealed, the Emperor had ordered the Iron Warriors and 6 other legions to destroy the 4 traitor legions on the world of Isstvan V. A battle that could only be described as apocalyptic begun upon the world, with the Iron Hands, Salamanders and Raven Guard attacking in the first wave. The battle was titanic and brutal. Warriors that had fought over a century by each other's side shattered their bonds in a maelstrom of hatred. The first wave began to retreat, and the 3 legions called upon their reinforcements: the Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion, but they remained silent. It was in the silence that they realized
we are Alfarius. Yeah, thank you, Hobbit. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation, man.
3 loyalist legions.
We are all Alfarius, it seems.
Perturabo finished it
Holy
by
shit.
launching a nucleonic missile straight at his brother Vulcan of the Salamanders.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thousands. It did not matter. They were tools of a tyrant. It wasn't personal. Only Horus and his forgiveness mattered. In celebration of this victory, Horus granted Perturabo Forgebreaker, the hammer Fulgrim had forged for Ferrus long ago as a sign of his office and commitment to the War Master, a leader who would value him. Perturabo had felt weak. He needed to claim back his pride and strength, and it would be the fools loyal to the tyrant Emperor who would suffer, especially the one who had taken away his purpose of praise, Rogel Dawn. The Iron Warriors and Perturabo unleashed their fury. World after world fell to the traitors as the years of the heresy progressed. Perturabo destroying bastions
Iron Warriors
raised
attack
by
both
the
sides.
fists,
God damn.
such as the world of Hydra Caudatus. Perturabo was beginning to feel strong again, and billions would suffer for it. For years, the heresy rages across the Imperium. Perturabo and the traitors began to devolve. The purging of Olympia had broken him and the Legion. Now they were remade into warriors, bereft of humanity. Their strength only increased as they became aware of the powers in the warp. Perturabo had no
You need to watch
desire
Erebus and
serve
Karn's
any
story.
gods, but the powers of the warp were
I'll have to put those on the next
intriguing.
poll for sure,
Following
for sure.
the slaughter at Hydra Caudatus, Fulgrim of the Emperor's children approached the Lord of Iron. He offered gifts, such as a necklace.
Iron
called
Warriors
the
attacked
Malgeita
both
Stone,
sides.
and
Fuck.
spoke of a weapon called
They
the
didn't care.
Angel
They just started targeting, man.
Exterminatus, a tool to boost
Showed
their
up and started
power
blasting.
immeasurably. Fulgrim was obsessed with being the perfect warrior, something that struck a chord with the Lord of Iron. This long ago had created a bond of respect between the two, perhaps not as friends, but definitely as brothers. Perturabo agreed, and the 2 legions set out to the Eye of Terror, the very warp tear that had filled the Primarch with paranoia as a child. Making their way through the warp storms, the legion attacked the bastion that held the weapon, a dilapidated crone world of the Eldar. The legion broke through, only for Fulgrim to go missing. Suspicious, Perturabo followed deeper into the bastion, until there he saw him, Fulgrim, smiling. Perturabo fell to the ground. The gift Fulgrim had given him was a betrayal. The Malgeita Stone brought the Primarch to his knees. It was draining his very essence away. Fulgrim had sold his soul to the powers of the warp. And he
Wow.
was going to sacrifice Perturabo to achieve demonhood. Fulgrim
Wow.
laughed maniacally, chastising the foolishness of Perturabo. How could he ignore the truth of the dark gods?
Mankind has no need
What the
of
fuck?
gods.
Holy
said
shit.
Perturabo.
We outgrew them a long time ago.
Fulgrim laughed, though Perturabo saw that the effort of holding his swelling body together was taking every ounce of his concentration. Beads of
Jesus.
light, mercury.
So he really did just get let in there to be fucking sacrificed to a dark god. So Fulgrim could achieve demonhood. Fulgrim is such a motherfucker, dude. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe hot take, but Fulgrim is such a rat, dude. Like, every time I've seen him, it's just been rat behavior. Like, from Fulgrim. I don't know. That's, god damn it. I can't believe that, you know? Like, I can, but I can't. Like, it's just like, how are you gonna, like, because this guy is loyal to you. He just wants to prove himself, you know? But you're just gonna, like, sacrifice him for your own meat. Like, I don't know. I can see it. I could totally see it from Fulgrim's side, you know, because he's just a rat. But, like, it just seems like such a waste in a sense, you know? It's such a waste because he's loyal, I think. I think Perturabo at this point is... He's looking for something. He's getting it. He's happy, you know, for once. And it's just like, you know, toss him out. Get rid of him. Friendly traitor fire. Oh, God. Leave my boy Fulgrim alone. I'm sorry. But, like, holy. After he got the sword, yeah, he erodes. Blessed turned into a warp spawn, damned into pain and torment all the time, wore a skin cloak for a Night Lord, or a laughing delusional poxwalker turned into combat stims. Fulgrim is a little biatch, but I still hope we see the Loyalist clone return. True. He used to be far better than Slaanesh got in his head. Yeah, it's true. I guess that's always it, right? Like, even Horus, like, you know, not necessarily a bad guy before the change, but once the change happens, yeah, it's like off the deep end, you know, so off the deep end entirely. That's Slaanesh corruption for you, so true, yeah. What would be the worst one to be corrupted by? You think Slaanesh? Probably Slaanesh, eh? Tzeentch is pretty bad, but probably Slaanesh. Nurgle, maybe Nurgle, actually. I don't know. It's hard to say. What would be the worst entity to be corrupted by, in your guys' opinion? Genuinely asking. That's actually an interesting question. Khorne, probably because you go insane. Slaanesh, probably Slaanesh. Chaos offers you everything, seemingly no price, a weak and pitiful path. Yeah. Tzeentch, due to rapid mutation. Give yourself to chaos. Thank you. So true. Slaanesh, probably. Nurgle. Nurgle worshippers are very happy. True, actually, you know, that's actually facts. I haven't seen a sad Nurgle worshipper. They seem really upbeat about things. You know, that's fair, actually. Nurgle's the best. Yeah. I would say, yeah, probably Nurgle. That's why I was kind of like, I mean, Nurgle looks horrific. But, like, in terms of you being a worshiper of him, like, fuck, you're probably living your best life, to be honest, you know? Goddamn. Slaanesh is extreme addiction. Yeah, I'd probably have to say Slaanesh. I was leaning on the side of Slaanesh. Either Slaanesh or Tzeentch, but I'd definitely have to say Slaanesh for sure.
Fulgrim laughed, though Perturabo saw that the effort of holding his swelling body together was taking every ounce of his concentration. Beads of light, mercury bright, sweated from his skin, dripping from the cruciform stance in silver droplets.
Should play Darktide
Thank
sometime
you,
if you
sir.
haven't. I haven't.
Then why are there
Haven't.
still gods? Belief empowers them.
I have to wait till it goes
And
on
we
sale.
worship them in every act of slaughter, betrayal, depravity, and quest for immortality we undertake. Whether we know it or not, we offer them fealty every day.
Perturabo shook his head.
I worship nothing. I believe in nothing.
The finality of the last utterance almost stopped him in his tracks. The force of it was like a blow, a bitter seed of truth he had never acknowledged or known until this moment. He saw the awareness of it reflected in Fulgrim's eyes.
And that is why you live a stale, bitter life,
said Fulgrim, contempt and pity dripping from his scornful words.
You let yourself be abused, crushed into slavery by a god who doesn't even have the decency to admit what he is. Our once father ascended to godhood long ago and denies others their place at the table. He promised us a new world to live in, but he was always to be above us, the master with his loyal lapdog slaves.
Is that why you sided with Horus?
Demanded Perturabo, standing right in front of Fulgrim, his enraged features so close that none could come between them.
Jealousy, vanity, such pettiness is for the weak. We were made for greater things.
What would you know of greater things?
Sneered Fulgrim.
You don't know the things I dream,
said Perturabo.
Does he dream?
No one does. No one ever cared enough to find out.
Fulgrim's head shot forwards, and a musk of glittering vapor, pink and veiny.
Oh, thank you, Hobbit. The Dark Tide is currently 50% off, $20, so here you go. I'd love to slay heretics with you sometime. Oh, thank you, Hobbit. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll pick that up.
Perfume,
thank you, man.
Then show
appreciate that a lot, sir.
Dreams, brother, and let me make them.
Yeah, that sounds
real.
fun, man. Definitely do some community community Dark Tide sometime. I do that on stream. That sounds awesome. W Hobbit, yeah. Hobbit's a G over here, man.
His way into his mind and saw the vision that Perturabo had dreamed every night since leaving Olympia. Paradise. A world of marble mountains and luscious trees. Cities designed in utter perfect detail.
Are these real emotions or just something pushed on them?
In dedication to learning, culture, art, technology, and wisdom. A world where Perturabo was a creator, a scholar, a place with no war. Perturabo strode along the perfect walkways and felt the love of the people. They lauded his genius and works.
And I just want to pause there too and just like talk about that conversation with Fulgrim, because like, I don't know, like, yeah, like Fulgrim has obviously gone off the deep end, but yeah, he did kind of just sum up like, yeah, you know, you don't believe in anything, and that's almost the reason why you've had an unfulfilling life. It's because you don't see the point in anything. You don't see the point of doing it if it's not for praise, because it's all you have going for you, I guess. It's the only thing that you can really gain enjoyment from, in a sense. So when you're not getting that, you're just living such an unfulfilling life. And, you know, like, it really does just sum it up, you know, like his problem and just why he's expendable, I guess, in a sense too. I was questioning how it was a waste almost to get rid of Perturabo in that way. But yeah, it's because they don't value him. He doesn't believe in anything. If his heart's not fully in it, then why do they want him, you know, in a sense, from Chaos's perspective, right? You heard it here from Centurion. Fulgrim is in fact base. Listen, Fulgrim is still a rat, but in that instance, he was not wrong, is what I will say. Yes, it was brutal honesty, but it was truth. Like, you know what I mean? No one cared enough to ask what Perturabo thought. That's true, I guess. But he also never cared enough to share it with anybody. Like, yes, it's one thing. Like, I understand not having anybody seeming to care about your issues, right? But if you're also not willing to open up to people about your issues, they might not even think that you need help to begin with, in a sense, right? But his own arrogance, his own saltiness towards everybody, his own need to be better, that's what prevented him from going out there and bringing up those issues, you know? Like, if he brought his problems up to Sanguinius, for example, do you think Sanguinius would have just laughed in his face, for example? Like, I don't think so. Or Magnus, you know, somebody he actually maybe wasn't friends with in a sense, but maybe could have respected more. Like, Magnus might have taken it and, you know, gone a little far with it. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had people that cared about him still. He had people that, you know, he could have potentially talked to. He just chose never to do that because he didn't want to show weakness. His whole thing was, I need to be strong. I'm the strongest out there. I'm the baddest out there. I can't show weakness or even perceive to show weakness, right? So him even acknowledging that he has an issue is the definition of weakness. That's why he won't do it, right? Maybe, again, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Playing Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater on PS4. I actually never played the Metal Gear Solid games either. I've heard that they're very, very good. I've never actually played any of them though. He beat Angron into submission and dropped him onto Terra. Holy shit. Fulgrim is not a rat, he's a snake. I guess that's a very distinct difference. True, I guess. It's true. I guess Conrad is more like the rat, and yeah, Fulgrim is the snake. That's right. That's true, actually. He wanted to be seen as a stoic man who gets shit done, which he was. That's true. That's how he wanted to be seen, right? But he had a direct problem with how he was seen, right? Because he wasn't getting that praise, right? It's not like he was just he wanted to help people. He did want to help people, but he needed that praise. So by him, you know, it's hard to explain. You know, by him doing that, I guess it's kind of like, it's kind of counterproductive in a sense, because it's not who he is. You know, he's lying to himself. He's putting on a persona. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what it is. He's putting on a persona, and then having a problem when people treat that persona how it should be treated, right? Does that make sense? Conrad was the man. Conrad is the bat. I guess Conrad could be the bat too. That's true. I mean, bats are just rats with wings, essentially, right? That's all a bat is. Let's be honest here. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty apt representation, pretty much. It's like he wants people to read his mind. Exactly. That's exactly, yeah. Like, he expects people to know that he needs this thing or that he wants this thing. When they were not raised with him, they were not raised on his planet. They might not have even spent much time with him outside of what he's shown them, you know? So it's like, how would they know, you know? Like, that's not their fault, you know? Pigeons are rats with wings. I don't know, man. Have you ever looked at a bat before? They look kind of like rats, dude. A pigeon, that don't look like no rat. Also, we don't have pigeons here, really. Well, we got pigeons here, but we don't have pigeons here in mass numbers like some places, so I consider them less rat-like, you know? Don't diss the scave. It's true. Pigeons goated. True. Pigeons are kind of, they're goofy. I don't have a problem with pigeons, though.
And felt the love of the people. They lauded his genius and works. He had created paradise, and it...
Oops. I forget how these headphones work.
Who protected it. All
casually turning down the volume when I'm
was to create,
not trying
to feel loved. No tyrants, no manipulators, a future without blemish or weakness. Ripped back into reality, Fulgrim's ritual was interrupted by a ragtag.
But bats are more clean than pigeons. It depends.
In their ambush, destroyed the Malgator stone, freeing the
bats
Primarch.
Carry rabies. So yes and no.
Perturabo looked one last time
Depends where
into
you're from.
Fulgrim's eyes and saw nothing of the brother he knew. He raised Dawnbreaker and smashed Fulgrim with a blow that could level a mountain, but it was too late, and Fulgrim burst into primordial flame, transforming into a demon Primarch. Wounded physically and spiritually, Perturabo and his legion retreated. The events of the Angel Exterminatus began another shift.
Pigeons are very clean. I think pigeons can carry, like, what is it, like the avian flu or whatever it's called, right? But generally pigeons are pretty clean birds. They did used to domesticate them. They did used to, like, you know, messenger pigeons and the like, obviously, but I think they were also a food source because of how rapidly they could breed too. I think they also ate them. I'm pretty sure they're, in terms of birds, they're one of the more cleaner ones. Yeah, I think that's correct. I think you're right about that. But bats, depending on where you live, like if you go like South America, you got some disgusting bats down there. You go to China, you got some disgusting bats. Here in North America, man, we got nice bats up here, you know. some of them, yeah, they can carry disease, but for the most part, man, they don't, you know, they're just nice. They're little small, little, you know, fly around, mind their own business. It's cool when you see one, you know, and they're more scared of you than you are of them. They're not gonna like fucking attack you or nothing like that, right? Like, yeah, the bats here are cute. The bats up here are cute. Like, they're actually genuinely cute to look at. You go and you look at like a Chinese bat, that shit's scary. That's like nightmare fuel over there, man. Like, no, those things are like fucking, those are massive, you know? Chinese bats are on a different level. Yeah, dude, like most things in like Asia or South America, it's just like, holy shit. Like the world wants to kill you down there, you know? Fruit bats are goated bats. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
Legion retreated. The events of the Angel Exterminatus began another shift in the mind of the Lord of Iron. He'd almost died to a brother who should have been his ally. His brothers were changing. The early days of the heresy were about toppling the tyrant who had used them as tools for an empire that was doomed to fail.
COVID talk started by Centurion. Listen.
They were changing. The word
I didn't bring up COVID. I only brought up bats.
To denizens of the warp. The Emperor's children,
that's all I'm saying,
almost looked unrecognizable with their body modifications.
We can get this chat room real spicy, get the interaction way up though. That's what I'm saying.
Heresy kept progressing, pushing back the loyalists, and Perturabo could see his brothers become more and more twisted by the powers of the Immaterium. Even Grandfather Nurgle came directly to the Iron Warriors in the form of the lost sons of Horus legionary Karlach. This bloated and corrupted marine spoke to Perturabo. The Plague Father offers him a crown. He offers him power, and he offers immortality. For somehow the corrupted marine knew Perturabo was dying. The ritual of the Angel Exterminatus had wounded his soul, and the Lord of Iron was dying slowly. In truth, Perturabo knew this too. He'd already begun to augment his body and armor, furthering it almost into a life support system. Karlach told him that his strength was failing, he was weak, and that if he ever faced his brother Angron, he would die. Perturabo gave his answer and destroyed Karlach and his twisted followers. They had made a mistake. They all had. It was the mistake of both the loyalists and the traitors. They had underestimated Perturabo. The Lord of Iron and his legion's heart had grown dark. They betrayed the Imperium and burned worlds. They had learned the truth of the warp and began to study it. Perturabo had seen how his brothers were becoming tools of warp entities. Fulgrim's betrayal had hardened his heart. No longer
this is where that sense of neutrality is coming from.
The destruction of Olympia now meant nothing to him. Like the
hashtag blame China. Yikes.
To feel its warmth. Perturabo had
but those bats.
his vengeance for the love he felt they denied him. But he no
Nurgle hits blunt. Yo, you want to smoke some chaos? Yeah, like literally, like Nurgle just shows up and is like, "Hey, Perturabo, see you're dying. Want to sign another deal, my guy? You know, I know you just rejected the last two, but listen, I got a sweet one for you. Undying. How about that? Undeath? You into that? Because I got you, brother." Like, that's basically what he did. He just rocked on up. Like, yeah, kind of silly. They thought he'd accept that, you know? I'm assuming they didn't think he would, but holy shit. Pigeon pilled. So true. Pigeons are way cleaner than bats. Pigeons are literally just a kind of dove. Yeah, pretty much. Like, pigeons really aren't that dirty. They're seen as dirty because they, like, you know, live in cities where there's a lot of filth, you know what I'm saying? But, like, they're not really a dirty bird. They're just, you know, pigeons. That's all they are.
Love he felt they denied him, but he no longer needed that.
Pigeon stream when? Yikes.
Telephone had been right. He was always desperate.
I don't know if I could do that.
But he no longer needed the Emperor's approval. Perturabo had begun to purge the weakness in his heart. Iron within, iron without. Warmaster Horus assembled Perturabo and Lorgar. Terror was within their sights, and the Imperial tyrant would be destroyed. But the effects of chaos corruption
Need the full
on the
pigeon
other
lore.
legions had turned them into more of a rabble rather than a legion. Lorgar was sent to bring the demon Primarch Fulgrim. As for Perturabo, he was ordered to muster the now cornate demon Primarch Angron to assemble to assault the solar system, and then Terra. Was this the death Chaos had predicted? No. Perturabo's greatest weapon had always been his mind, a tool sharpened with over a century of warfare, combined with his inbuilt genius and now new knowledge of warcraft. Perturabo assembled his iron warriors upon a hill on the planet Deluge and waited. The World Eaters came, not a disciplined legion, but a screaming host of corrupted marines, led by the demonic beast Angron.
Wow.
Volleys railed from the Iron Warriors, obliterating the World Eaters. As Angron's bloodlust was uncontrollable, he rushed in, right into the Lord of Iron's trap. It was no duel. It was a tamer reeling in his beast.
Wow. See, that's how you gotta deal with Angron, though. You know, you can't just fight Angron. It's not about winning against Angron. It's about corralling him. Literally. Like, he's like a raging bull, you know what I'm saying? He sees red and he just fucking goes for it. That's what Angron is, you know? You can't think to fight him on a one-on-one. It's never gonna work. You gotta use your head and simply just draw him in, you know what I mean? He'll always take the bait. It's Angron. Listen, Angron didn't really learn, okay? Or at least his capacity to learn is very much hindered. Let's just say that, okay? If he gets a chance to go in, he's going in, you know? Holy. Say what you want, but the trade of not feeling pain in exchange for being ugly doesn't sound bad. I'm already ugly, so it's a steal. Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Fuck. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, but then, like, what do you feel if you can't feel pain? You know what I mean? Seems like you're just, you know, you're just a slave at that point, in a sense. Nurgle now watching this animal talk and laughing. Oh, God. Crows at my place are cat size. Yeah, I have a lot of crows around here. Crows are crazy. I don't like crows only because they're just mean birds. You know what I mean? Like, they pick on other birds. So if you like have like bird feeders and shit, like crows will just come in and just start like owning those bird feeders. You know what I mean? Bird-centric stream. Too much bird talk. Needs to be a shroom-centered stream, bro. Listen. We can make that happen, you know what I'm saying? We just got to get enough support for it, you know? There's a short animatic chapter, Master Valric's channel. It's like a roughly animated fight with Sanguinius and Angron. That sounds really cool, actually. I'd check that out sometime. Check it out later? Yeah, I might check it out later. We'll see, we'll see. Again, I might keep it to this video just for tonight's stream, but we'll see. You know, bird is a word. We should swap to a bird stream for the sake of change. Oh, God. Everyone's asking for these fucking bird videos now. Oh, man. This is what the channel is going to come to. We're going to start uploading bird videos, guys. I'll just, you know, honestly, you know what? If you guys want, I'll set my goddamn, my fucking action camera. I'll set it up outside my deck, and I'll just have it focused on the bird feeders for you guys. How about that? How about that? Will that make you guys happy? Huh? I'll just have a stream of the bird feeders all day. You guys can tune into that, you know? WWE Avian channel. Oh, God.
It was no duel. It was a tamer reeling in his
24-hour bird stream. Honestly, I'd probably make mad cash off of that. I'm not even joking. Like, that's actually probably a good business model to follow.
Twice again. Splinters of the metal fell from the Lord of Iron as he staggered once more.
But you have grown weaker, Angron.
The demon Primarch.
Can you imagine the monetization on a 24-hour bird watching stream, dude?
Twice.
That'd be craziness.
3 times as the Lord of Iron stumbled back and crashed to his knees.
I have learned. I have remade my strength, while you have sold yours out of despair.
Argonis heard the words, heard the spite in them, the cold bitterness. There was something else there, too. Something that made Argonis think of the knife jewels in the dark warrens of Chthoniya. Cuts meant to goad, not kill. Angron roared, and in the fraction of time that gave, Perturabo was on his feet. Forgebreaker moving faster than before. The air shook as its head struck and struck again. and there was blood on the baked mud of the ground beneath the two. Angron was scattering
Bird talk doesn't fly with me. Oh god.
Armor. He lashed a fist at Perturabo. Claws tore the front of the Lord of Iron's helm. Perturabo's skin was pale grey, streaked with blood beneath.
You are weak,
snarled Perturabo.
You are a slave. You were born a slave, and a slave you remain.
Angron cut Perturabo. Argonis did not see it done, just the Lord of Iron suddenly still. A crimson trail running down his chest, and glowing gashes smiling across his torso. Angron was striking again, but somehow he seemed to be shrinking, the edges of his shadow and flame bulk retreating like a wave from the shore. Perturabo struck back, and hammer and axe met.
Your strength flees!
He also used a bunch of traps. Make no mistake, he's not actually stronger than Angron or a better duelist. No.
It is your masters.
No.
And the
He fully trapped him, baited him in here.
You. The threads of blood are thinning. The meal of slaughter will only keep you here long enough to see your bastard sons
Who wants to
die.
watch the Tyrion's bird? Yikes.
Circle of
Oof.
surrounding them.
You guys are gonna have to pay me a lot more for that, unfortunately. A lot more for that. Holy shit.
And again,
this has got to make that's got to be a living, you know what I'm saying?
My skin.
Called Perturabo.
A gift of suffering at the hands of our brother.
He was walking towards Angron.
Tyrion OnlyFans. Yikes.
You think that I would let your kind wield your weapons against me? I have taken their measure.
Angron whirled, wings extending to carry him back at his brother. Perturabo raised his hands, weapon pods unfolding from his armored shell. Angron's tattered shadow wings beat. Perturabo fired. Streams of energy and exotic rounds blazed across the space between the two. Fire and explosions wreathed Angron. Ectoplasmic smoke billowed off him. His wings were broken frames of bone, draped with scrapes of skin. Perturabo came forward as he kept up the fusillade, each step a slow thud of braced pistons.
They will die, here, on this hill. They will die without striking a blow. All of your best mongrel sons of slaughter. They will die. And your battered soul.
Centurion just told us about his OnlyFans account. Bro, you know, listen. I've thought about the money-making potential. I'll be completely honest. No, I do not have an OnlyFans. No, I do not have one. So if you're going to go look for that, save yourself the time. Bird feeder.
Perturabo defeated Angron.
Zenfest, there will be a glory hole, by the way. Oh no.
World-bending power is meaningless,
oh no.
if uncontrollable.
I'll get the portage on just for that, you know? 100%.
Reeling from the mess that was the World Eater's Legion, the remaining traitors gathered for the final
degenerates. Actual degenerates.
And then terror itself. Perturabo's power had grown, his augmetics, his warcraft knowledge, but most importantly, his emotional stability. The boy, so desperate for approval, had hardened his heart. He didn't really need to prove anything to anyone.
Bird and Donkey Stream 1.
The closeness he had felt for Horus in the beginning of the heresy began to fade. Since Horus had re-emerged from the warp on the world of Molech, he was different.
That's so fucking stupid, dude. That's so fucking stupid.
Moments, but emerged significantly older. Something fundamental had changed in Horus. He was
$500 a day for OnlyFans, dude.
Delegating command.
Again, 500. Listen, say what you will about it. You know, say what you will. Listen, I know there's a lot of judgment out in the world. You know what I'm saying? But listen, if people are willing to pay that kind of money for what could be literally free on the internet, like literally free, you know what I'm saying? If your intention is to, you know, get off, you could do that for free, right? But if people are going to pay you fucking that much money to do it, listen, I respect the grind. Okay, I'm going to be entirely on. I respect the grind. Okay, I can't be a hater. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit there and hate on, like, especially like a woman. If so, I know a lot of people like hate on women and shit for doing that. Listen, fuck, if people are willing to pay that, why not? Listen, if that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative. Fucking girl, go get it. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your life. Listen, you know, like, fuck. Can't complain, man. Like, you literally can't complain. It's smart. That's all I'm saying. It's a business move. Exactly. It's a smart business. Like, listen, like, if you got the assets, you know what I'm saying? and you're not ashamed of that, fuck, go be rich. Like, that's your prerogative, bro. Hey, I'm not judging. I don't judge. Fuck no. If life gives you lemons, you make a lemon party. Bro, if life gives you lemons, you ain't gonna be making an OnlyFans. Let me tell you that right now. If life's giving you lemons, you ain't making an OnlyFans.
Changed in Horus. He was difficult to reach. Delegating commands to Abaddon.
AI videos are gonna hurt the prawn instinct. So true.
Took counsel with his
so
brothers.
True.
He spoke to the dark gods of the warp as divine masters. Perturabo again was finding himself in the very situation he was fighting against, being used as a tool underneath a tyrant. You can imagine how uneasy this feeling may have been. Perturabo betrayed his father, the Imperium, and half of his brothers for Horus, who now seemed to be just a replacement rather than a liberator. The ties of loyalty between the traitors was falling apart.
Someone smacked Fear with a virus bomb.
Between them was the fear of retaliation. The
Council shut
forces
aside your fate.
Slammed into the solar system. Millions of rebellious and corrupted forces fighting tooth and nail against the proactive defense.
After watching that, I definitely wanted some chocolate soft served ice cream. Oh man.
The expertise of Perturabo versus the fortifications of Rokul Dawn.
The stream's gonna get demonetized so quickly, guys. See, that's actually the cool thing.
Brutal naval.
I'm gonna say it right now, guys. Now listen, obviously you can't be going and you can't be saying absolutely radical shit, right? But the good thing about not being monetized thus far is that I have no fear of losing anything. You know what I'm saying? I have zero fear. You know what I'm saying? The music in this video alone is probably already gonna get the video demonetized before I'm even fucking able to be monetized. So let's be completely real here. You know, is it slur Saturday? No, you're not allowed to just slur. I did not say that. You will get fucking banned. I will ban your ass. No filter, no word. I will fucking get rid of you so quickly from this chat. I'm not losing my account over that shit. Listen, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Let me reiterate, okay? But I'm not even monetized. So like that, you know, like that's why they say like, oh, you know, you shouldn't swear in your videos and shit like that. Bro, you have nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? If you're under 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, why can't I swear in my videos? Why? Because I'm gonna get fucking penalized for it later? I don't give a fuck. Like what? I got nothing to lose. Like there's nothing. I'm losing nothing. Like that's what I mean, right? Like shit like that, you know? That's what I don't understand. Like I see so many people, especially smaller YouTubers, like worried about that. Like if they're trying to like censor themselves, bro, be yourself. People will watch it if they want to watch it. Be yourself, be who you are. And eventually down the line, when eventually maybe you are monetized, eventually when you are looking at sponsorship deals, then maybe you start to sanitize yourself a little bit because of those reasons, because it's actually like making you money from those videos, right? At the end of the day, right now, as it stands, the only money I make is from donations. That's the only money I make, and I'm at a net loss monthly, right? I have nothing to lose, okay? Let's be real here. I'm losing nothing, okay? So true. Honestly, who cares about swearing? YouTube does. YouTube does, and so does like the people running advertisements on videos. They care about that shit. Which again, I don't know why, because again, the video. There's a YouTube Kids section. That's why YouTube Kids exists. If swearing offends you that much, like, I don't know, man. Maybe you need to stop being so sensitive, you know? Like, that's what it is, right? Like, I don't know. But whatever, right? Be yourself unless yourself like saying slurs. Yeah, exactly. Like, listen, be yourself, like... You know what I mean. I'm not going to rephrase. I'm not going to take that bait, Goof. You know exactly what I meant there. You know exactly what I meant. I ain't taking that bait. Because people forgot the whole thing about sticks and stones. I don't know. This went so off the rails.
A chance to put this old rivalry to the test. Brutal naval conflicts, bitter ground deployments, and titanic clashes raged as the forces met. Slowly the traitors pushed forward, getting
crazy on the Messiah.
Closer
So true.
to the Imperial Palace. But cracks between the traitors just grew.
Oops.
Fulgrim and his celestially corrupted legion were more interested in capturing slaves. Mortarion and his Death Guard were just throwing poxes at the psychic defenses of the Imperial Palace. Magnus and his 1,000 sons were missing. It had become clear to Perturabo that he was the only sane traitor actually.
Oh, this is when
involved on the
Magnus
ground
goes
level,
missing.
though in truth he was not much better. In the battle for the Lion's Gate spaceport, he even willingly sacrificed his own sons to buy time, like how a king on a chessboard uses his pawns. Though not corrupted by chaos, Perturabo was, and always had been, cold and calculating, and it was clear at this point his legion was simply resources to use in his goals. The traitors now were so close, no thanks to the efforts of Perturabo. The battle of feints, assaults, sallies, and bombardments between the Lord of Iron and Rogel Dawn were a bitter duel of the brilliant minds. Piece by piece, the traitors were closer to domination. But was this the victory he wanted? He was deposing a tyrant, only now to replace him with another. Horus was using him. He had seen the difference between Horus and his brothers. Whilst they were uncontrollable and pathetic, Horus was powerful and disciplined. Even his aura
to an
almost
extent
pushed him to his knees.
To an
Horus
extent.
had just become another servant, rather than using his power as an augmentation. Just like
Exactly.
in Fulgrim's eyes, Perturabo could see there was nothing truly left of his brother. The call was sent. The Iron Warriors Legion reassembled and abandoned the Siege of Terra.
Wow.
Damned if he stayed, damned if he left. But so be it. He would prepare for the wars to come. We all change. Look back 5 years.
So he straight up just packed up and left. He straight up just packed up and left after the, well, during the Siege of Terra, not even after the Siege of Terra, during the Siege of Terra. He's just like, oh, no, fuck that, bro, we're out. Because he sees Horus, he sees, you know, he has that image of Horus, he knows how he was obviously very charismatic, came to him in a time of need, a time of vulnerability. But now he sees him years later after the heresy has been raging for a few years, sees him at the Siege of Terra and sees that he is nothing more than a pawn like his brothers, like Fulgrim, for example, like Angron, you know, he's nothing more. He's nothing better. And then he loses faith. He loses complete faith in like each side, you know? So they really do seem like their own entity in a sense, the Iron Warriors. They really do seem like they're their own thing entirely. It's much more like, you know, like I wouldn't like, do you class, like, I guess you still do class them as traitor forces, right? But do they fight alongside the traitors ever? Like, do we see that anymore? Just out of curiosity, like, you know what I mean? Like, are they actually like, are they still on side in a sense? Because it doesn't really sound like it, you know? They cooperate with other war bands. They're kind of their own thing. So in the sense of like, if it benefits them, if there's mutual benefit to be had, they will cooperate. But for the most part, they're completely on their own. They don't really care about anybody. That's more what it's like. They don't really collaborate with on that. Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Chicken will never get his witch. Oh no, don't say that. Sigmar's goat. Before leaving, he sent Horus's elite guard into a suicide mission, though. Oh, seriously? So he actually got one up. He was just like, oh, fuck it. Get rid of these guys, like, quick, you know? Honestly, that probably did a lot to benefit Horus in the end. During the final battle, I'll assume. They serve their own wills. Can you make a bird noise? I'd rather not. What kind of bird noise do you want me to make? What kind of bird noise? I'll try to mimic it. I don't know if I can. I'll attempt, maybe.
We all change. Look back 5 years.
Turbo bird.
At times that person can be unrecognizable.
A cuckoo.
Perturabo had lived nearly 2 centuries and is almost
Chicken
completely
noise.
unrecognizable after the Horus heresy. From
How do you
that
want me to
boy,
make a chicken
all
noise,
alone
bro?
in the mountains, having to survive and adapt to the
Given his
naive
attitude,
man
probably a
growing up in the
cassowary.
court of Damikos,
Do the
being
rooster.
taken advantage of,
I don't know.
never
Is that
connecting
fucking...
with anyone, paranoid about the tear in the
that better?
sky no one else could see.
Does that get you off, you
being
fucking
insecure about
sick
showing
freaks?
any signs of failure or weakness, to meeting the Emperor and finally feeling love, connection and purpose, for all of it to turn bitter as his accomplishments, his dedication and suffering were ignored. Consumed
More?
by jealousy,
Fuck, I'm not...
hatred and shame, he
Degeneracy?
burned his
Not doing
homeworld
that.
and murdered his foster family. And when he awoke from that haze, he was consumed by guilt, something his own brother took advantage of and offered him salvation.
Use it for the hentai edit.
In
Oh
return for
no.
dethroning the tyrant who used him just like the Olympians.
This is how the
Perturabo
OnlyFans
joined
starts.
Horus
Yikes.
and pushed the loyalists.
I don't know, you guys
all
are
the
tempting
way
me
to
with
Terra.
delusions
But
of
on that journey, his heart hardened.
$500 a
The
day.
betrayal of Fulgrim, the mortal wound, seeing his brothers becoming enslaved to warp entities. By the time they had reached Terra, only he and Horus were still remarkably sane. But Horus had changed too, and turned into an uncaring tyrant, just
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't
their
call Horus
father.
sane at this
What
point.
did Perturabo want? He had long dreamed of Utopia.
Not as
a
mad,
domain
but
where
not
he was
sane.
a scholar, a creator, a place where he wasn't weak.
500 a day
but
would be nuts right now.
powerful. By
I would
turning
shit
his
a
back
brick
on
if I was making
Horus,
$500
he'd
a day.
overcome his greatest weakness.
I don't even know what
the
I would do
need
with that
for
money, to be
others'
completely real with you.
approval. He had seen how his brothers like Angron and Fulgrim were enslaved to the dark gods, undisciplined and insane. But most importantly, he was dying, slowly bleeding strength. The greatest weakness of all is failure. Death is failure. Shortly after the abandonment of the siege, the news came. Horus was dead. The Emperor was crippled, but the Loyalists had won, and they were coming for the traitor legions, and so Perturabo prepared. On the world of Sebastus IV, the Iron Warriors created the Eternal
Perturabo
Fortress
moved to the warm
and the
country after climate
impregnable
change.
bastion that looked like an eight-pointed
True.
star of chaos. It was a trap, designed to lure one whose rivalry was never truly settled, Rogel Dawn. The Praetorian of Terra, consumed by despair in what had become of the Emperor, declared he would dig Perturabo out of his hole and bring him back to Terra in an iron cage. The battle
Wow.
between the two legions begun, a brutal slog between the greatest siege experts known to man. But Rogel Dawn since Terra was a broken man, and the battle became a pseudo-punishment for his legion, as
Wow.
they pushed further and further, caring nothing for casualties, until the trap was sprung. Perturabo and the Iron Warriors turned it from a siege into a prison, cutting off the Imperial Fist from the outside. It was a slaughter, and would have been the end for them if not for the untimely intervention of the Ultramarines. But the
Of
battle
course.
was done. Perturabo had shown his superiority and left with his victory. But now there was one last opponent to defeat.
That's all it's about, right?
Death. Perturabo
Show up, win, leave. That's all it's about. You know what I mean? You just got to prove the point. That's really all it's about. You know what I mean? Like, again, Perturabo, I believe. Now, again, Rogel Dorn, maybe not in his right mind. You know, a lot of shit just happened for him. You know, but I think Perturabo is probably the better siege master. Probably, if I had to assume. You know, again, that's nothing against the, you know, the Imperial Fist, but they probably are better in a sense, like at that job. You know, that's what they're made for. That's literally just what they're made for. You know what I mean? Like, clip it. Horus is literally batshit insane at this point. Yeah, Horus does not, like anything I've known from the heresy, Horus at this point has lost his fucking marbles. He's not sane. He's not talking any sense at this point. He's off the deep end entirely. Till I cage. Proof the Imperial Fist ain't shit. True. So true. Give me a Dorn bird noise. Hashtag fists. I don't even know what that would sound like. Perturabo predicted the trap set up by Dorn in the Siege of Terra and laughed at them, and then sent Abaddon to check it out and suffer losses just for a lull. That's fucking hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. He literally knew about it, and he's just like, hey, send them at it, you know, these useless motherfuckers, you know, just go send them at it. Oh, that's funny though. I like how, like, again, Perturabo, he's a very smart Primarch. He's very smart, and he's very good at what he does, but he's just, you know, he's just so arrogant. He's just so full of himself in a sense. And like the thing is too, is like the heresy, and this is kind of what I'm noticing, the heresy doesn't really seem to have changed him much from what he originally was. Like he almost seems like the least changed of the heresy. Maybe that's wrong, but from what I've seen so far, that's what I want to say, right?
But now there was one last opponent.
Is what makes me love Perturbo,
Death.
yeah.
Perturabo during the heresy has seen his brothers, how dedication to one of the dark gods left you a slave to their whims. But what if you were dedicated to all? What if the dark gods had to come to him? What if they fought for his
Conrad
attention
too
against each other?
Well,
He had
yeah, I guess
studied the
Conrad,
war.
but Conrad
None of the others
is dead.
Not even Horus understood it like he did. Chaos could be the tool to augment his power to an untouchable
I guess
level.
is Perturabo
It could
dead?
prevent his death.
Is he dead?
His failure. He made his choice. The gene seed of over 400
Him and
Imperial
Magnus?
fists.
Well, I don't even know Magnus either, because you got to remember Magnus's like soul was like fucking, he had pieces of him like literally scattered. You know what I'm saying? So I think Magnus was pretty changed by the time everything was said and done. I think he probably encountered quite a bit of change. Maybe not in like the physical sense, but definitely in other ways. He never allowed chaos to turn him into a single-minded beast. He just used him as a AAA battery so he can get his petty revenge. So true. Now Purdy is kind of fucked up. Oh, okay. I think overall Perturbo is the better siege smith, but I think Dorn defensively is superior. But given time, Perturbo will crack. Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing, right? Like you can think like a defense, like offense will always be stronger than defense. At the end of the day, no matter what, offense will always be stronger than defense. At the end of the day, you might have armor, right? Somebody's going to invent a crossbow to get through that armor. You might have a tank. Somebody is going to invent an ATGM to get through that tank. There's always going to be a bigger weapon than a bigger defense. That's just always going to be true. So with that doctrine in mind, with that knowledge in mind, it just makes sense that Perturbo, yes, like he would eventually crack Dorn 100%. Like the weapon will always beat the shield eventually. That's just true. True, I guess, but he is a demon prince. I'd prefer if he wasn't. Is he a demon prince now? Is he fully a demon prince now? I feel like his return in lore is gonna suck for the Imperium. Yeah. So he I'm guessing we'll see here.
He made his choice.
I know he's not in modern lore right now,
over
but
400 Imperial fists,
I guess we'll see how he
captured
leads.
by the Iron Warriors in the Iron Cage, was sacrificed to the Dark Gods. Perturabo was elevated to the rank of Demon Prince of
There it
Chaos Undivided. He was
Okay.
given a world, a domain to call his own, a place to create utopia.
Demon Prince of Chaos
The
Undivided.
journey
Wow.
of Perturabo is tragic. It is almost fitting that the material he found resonance with is iron, because in reality we all know that iron is brittle. Perturabo was a genius, gifted and powerful, but his heart was his greatest weakness. The absence of love in his life is the crux of all the pain he put himself through. His real weakness was the fact that he could not accept weakness itself.
Yeah.
Unable to share them, bottles it up inside until it
Exactly.
turns to resentment.
That's
And
literally exactly what
he
I
created
said.
perhaps the deadliest legion in the Imperium, created the best technology, devised the greatest strategies, a true titan of physical and mental prowess. He even became an immortal demon, but he is alone. Men who have iron within don't have the strength to love anything And the greatest tragedy in this universe is to live life without love.
Bit of a powerful final quote there, I'm not gonna lie. Wow. Oh, nice outro. This looks cool. Wow. Well, guys, that was Perturabo, the entire character history, voice acted 40k lore by, of course, the Amber King. I thought that was awesome, guys. I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, as he said, to sum it up, yeah, basically, he bottled it up. He never talked to anybody about his problems. Maybe they didn't appreciate him. Maybe that's completely true. Maybe that is absolutely true. But as you guys say, his persona was that of a stoic individual that does not need praise, that does not demand it, that does not require it. So it's very hypocritical for him to then kind of not demand it, but like expect it. In a sense, if this is the persona that you're going to put on, that you don't need this praise, you don't need anybody's praise, you're going to do it because you're the best, and you just want to help, maybe, you just want to prove you're the best, then you shouldn't need the praise, right? If you're trying so hard to be better than everyone else, and that's the thing too, nobody's going to want to praise you. If you see yourself as higher on a level than anyone else, why would they ever praise you? Why would anyone ever show you that respect back, in a sense, So it's a rough one, like I can understand like him not getting any praise when it's fully deserved. He does deserve it. But you also can't pretend to be something you're not and then be salty because people aren't treating you the way that you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, I think it's a very back and forth thing. I don't think it's just like, with Magnus, I can almost see, like, I can see more where Magnus is coming from than Perturabo, because Perturabo, he didn't get over it. He didn't even really acknowledge it ever to himself. You know what I mean? Magnus acknowledged it. Magnus acknowledged his flaws at a certain point. He did. But Perturabo did not. He never did. That's the thing. He saw his brothers doing well and getting praise. He thought if he did well enough, he would finally be given the same treatment. That's true. It was extremely unfair. It is unfair. It is unfair too. But again, that's how he's presenting himself too, though, right? That is how he's presenting himself. Overall, he didn't end so badly. So I do have a question. Like, does that mean like, so is that where he's been for like the recent like modern 40k lore? Is he's just been on this planet that he's created as a demon prince? Like, he hasn't left, he hasn't shown up, he hasn't done anything more. I'm assuming that's true. Centurion, I mentioned it earlier, but after this, I would recommend watching Mistakes of the Emperor Perturabo by Old Man. It gives more context on his character and is a great video in general. I think that this was something growing on Olympia, where he was more of a political tool rather than son, so he kind of grew up. Worldwide view to give zero appreciation. Yeah, that's fair. In terms of that video, honestly, how long is the video? I might check it out tomorrow, honestly, to be completely real with you. I might try it. Might check it out tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I do kind of want to keep it to one video per stream like this, just because again, for like the links and stuff like that. Anyone watching later on, they kind of know what to expect. And then, too, I've had people ask for videos that, like one video specifically we did on stream. And that's the reason I re-uploaded it as a separate video from the stream, just because it gets lumped all in as one video. I'm not going to have multiple different titles, for the stream, if that makes sense. So I kind of like to keep it to one video just for the organizational purposes. If we're playing a game sometime and maybe there's like a loading screen or we take a break or something, honestly, if we're playing games, I wouldn't even mind like doing reactions in between like gaming breaks and stuff like that too. So honestly, if we got some of those gaming streams going on, if we got like a 20-minute video, half-hour video, maybe at the most, I might even consider checking that out during some of our gaming streams if that's if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, And then that way I can cut it up and it's not like it's not the focus, right? Because I feel bad when like the title of the video is obviously like Iron Within Perturabo, and then we're looking at you know, other people's videos, not by the Amber King, because like the Amber King's link is in the description. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of feel bad that way. I want to make sure everybody's getting their just due, you know, and I want to make sure everybody's getting their just due for their videos in terms of respect for that, you know? That's all it is, right? I'd recommend Danionic and Polix. Yeah, man, again, that was second most voted. So again, I'll probably throw that on the poll for next week. And you guys will have another crack at it if you guys want to see that for sure, for sure. It was voted second most. So I'm assuming, you know, you guys have a pretty good chance at getting that next week for sure, for sure. And again, the way you guys describe it, everyone has said it's worth checking out. It seems like a pretty good video. It seems like a lot of you guys enjoy that. Can you imagine Perturabo and Dorn in one Dreadnought? Oh, God. They would be kissing for sure. True. Well, I believe he has grown an alliance with Vashtor, Demon Prince of Chaos, who is sort of a weapons dealer to the main four, and a minor independent deity. It is from his forges that most demon engines come from. Oh, shit. Damn. We need to do something on Dorn soon. True. Need to create alt accounts. I mean, hey, man, listen, if that's what you think you need to do, I mean, hey, listen, you can create alt accounts alternatively, guys. If you guys enjoy the content, I will ask this. If you guys enjoy the content, share these videos, share the channel around, share the content around. You know, if you guys think you got somebody that might enjoy my kind of content, might enjoy hopping into the streams with us on these weekends and throughout the week like that, fuck. Share the channel, guys. That's really all I can ask you guys to do. Share the channel. Let's get more people in here. You know what I'm saying? And let's get us up to 1,000 subscribers. You know, we've been waiting on that for a little bit. I want to paint those minis up, so let's get us up to 1,000 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you guys are enjoying, you know, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. You know, those likes help a lot. I know a lot of you guys don't like hitting the like button, and but I'll be completely honest, man. It does help a lot, especially on small YouTubers, man. It really does make a large difference. It's the difference of like whether YouTube is willing to push your video, give you impressions or not, is the likes on your videos and the time watched throughout. That's why usually my streams do very good, because I have a lot of you guys that enjoy watching these streams and enjoy watching along with me, right? So the retention on them is extremely good, right? So if you guys enjoy, of course, leave a like. I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. You know, so many of you guys too. Fuck, it's annoying because I know I see literally hundreds of returning viewers. That's why I said this 2 months ago. We could be at over 1,000 subscribers because I have 2,000 returning. Like I could see the amount of viewers returning. You know what I'm saying? And the number is very, very high. And you know, people just don't do it. You know, so gotta blame those people. You know. But no, if you guys enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe for more content from me, of course, of course. Looking forward to Darktide, reinstalling it, gonna mess up some Nurglites tonight. Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. It might be on tonight for sure. I think I have some plans tonight, but yeah, we can definitely play it for sure. I'll get that downloaded, and yeah, we can absolutely play. I really appreciate you getting that for me, man. That means a lot to me, and it sounds really fun to play. It looks really fun. It'd be fun to stream sometime too. I'll throw it up as a stream option for next week too, throughout the week. But yeah, guys, you know, I guess we're probably gonna call it here. You know, if you guys enjoyed the video, you know what I'm saying. You guys make sure you leave a like, subscribe, as I said. Leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Come on down, join our Discord if you're not in the Discord, of course. Big shout out to all of our members, all of our Hastati, and our Principe Dagenhart. I know he usually can't make these streams. You know, got some night shift stuff going on. But, you know, big shout out to our Principe Dagenhart as well, as always. Disliking right now, listen, Goop, that's retention. So listen, if you guys, even if you didn't like the video, even if you guys didn't like the fucking video, dislike it then. Honestly, dislike it. It does wonders for me. I'm not even joking. If you didn't enjoy, honestly, dislike it. Give me the criticism, give me a tip on how to improve, and it still boosts me retention-wise. So I'm okay with it, dude. Listen. But yes, guys, no. If you guys enjoy, of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. It was awesome stream with you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was an awesome video, as always. And yeah, I might be in the Discord later. Might be down for some games later. Again, I think I got some plans with some people on there. Do some games already. But I will pick up Darktide for you, Fear. That sounds awesome. And we can definitely play maybe tomorrow if you're around, for sure, man. I don't know if you're around nights, whatever, but let me know. Hit me up in the Discord. We'll get something going for sure, dude. I appreciate that a lot, eh? But yes, guys, without any further delay, this has been Centurion. I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Peace.